Kai is a normal high school student by day, but when night falls, he's a notorious assassin living in the underworld, and anyone who becomes his target never escapes. No one can evade his ruthless blade, but because his work often keeps him up all night, he's perpetually exhausted and has to rush to school early in the morning. As soon as he enters the classroom, he heads straight to his seat and crashes, not paying attention to anyone. Not even the class president, Midu Suji, who tries to greet him warmly. This personality of his rubs many classmates the wrong way, including a trendy girl with pink hair named Rina. She's a stylish it girl in the class, and she constantly feels that Kai's rude, dismissive behavior toward people is completely unacceptable. But there's always someone worse. In class, there's an even ruder guy named Sunsuke, the leader of a notorious local criminal gang whom everyone fears and tries to avoid. Sunsuke has a few loyal lackeys, and seeing Kai sleeping on his desk, he immediately gets annoyed and walks over to shout at him. Kai just responds with a loud snore. Being ignored like that makes Sunsuke snap, and he reaches out to grab Kai and start a fight, but Kai quickly blocks him. Kai sits up, yawning, and glares at Sunsuke. "I'm exhausted. What do you want?" Seeing Kai's mocking, detestable attitude, Sunsuke loses it. He screams in Kai's face, but Kai remains calm, applying just enough pressure to squeeze Sunsuke's hand until he's immobilized. Then, finally lets go. Sunsuke rubs his hand in anger and calls Kai a damn freak, at which point student number 8, Kanazaki Jin, speaks up, asking if he could just keep quiet. Kanazaki is the class beauty, gifted in both martial arts and literature, and a top-tier stunner known for her cold and distant demeanor. Sunsuke just scowls at her. Just as he's about to go pick a fight with her, the serious vice monitor, Mireille, stops him, while another student named Iosia, who seems a bit shallow, warns him. "Mireille, just leave him be or you might get blown away." Overall, it was just another typical chaotic day in Kai's classroom. But it was all about to end. While Kai was drifting in and out of sleep, he suddenly felt something strange. A mysterious, glowing blue light suddenly appeared beneath Midu's seat. It was a magic circle, growing larger until it engulfed the entire classroom. The strange phenomenon confused Midu, but she stayed calm and urged everyone to evacuate. But with his honed instincts, Kai realized it was already too late. The magic circle emitted a blinding, brilliant light that filled the room. In an instant, Kai's entire class was transported to a strange alien dimension. And even Kai didn't know where they were, so he began to scan their surroundings. It was a stone building filled with massive pillars with only one exit. Though illogical, Kai guessed the entire class had been pulled in by that white light. The other students started waking up, panicking and asking where they were. Midu, as the class president, tried to calm everyone down. She wanted to make sure everyone was safe, which made Kai feel satisfied. Midu really was a great class president. But Sunsuke was the opposite. He wouldn't sit still and started causing a ruckus, taking his lackeys to check the area. But Kai stopped him, hearing footsteps coming from the door. 2 people were approaching, 1 man and 1 woman. As Kai predicted, once the doors opened, an aged knight and a beautiful goddess appeared. "Greetings, candidates for the title of hero," they said. Every student in the class was stunned, marveling at their appearance. They looked just like a knight and princess from the Middle Ages. Kai, at this moment, was hiding behind a pillar, assessing the situation. That man was definitely a swordsman and ready to strike, while the woman had little muscle. Leonora gave a friendly smile. Not only did she know, but she was here to explain everything. Kai's entire class had been summoned to this world. It was a parallel world, and they were the hope for humanity to defeat the Demon King as the world's chosen hero candidates. Midu was skeptical, and Sunsuke lost all patience, claiming Leonora was just spewing nonsense. Gaius, seeing him act so disrespectfully, became furious. He impulsively charged at Gaius with his fists clenched. Kai, watching from the sidelines, had to admit that this guy. Therefore, everyone needed to remain quiet. As Leonora had mentioned before, due to the Demon King's invasion, humanity in this world was on the verge of extinction, and she seemed quite ordinary. The goddess introduced herself as Leonora, the Archbishop of the Holy Kingdom of Dagaris, and beside her was Gaius, her knight and bodyguard. Hearing the introduction, Sunsuke immediately reacted, "I've never heard of this country. Are you trying to pick a fight?" Leonora remained calm and replied, "No." Midu stepped forward as the representative, explaining that the whole class suddenly appeared here. She was a bit uneasy and asked Leonora if she knew what was going on. He threatened him, which only annoyed Sunsuke more. Seeing Sunsuke's insubordination, Gaios prepared to teach him a lesson, but Leonora quickly stopped him. Gaios had someone to hold him back, but Sunsuke didn't. Was reckless and brave, facing a man with a sword at his hip without hesitation. Truth be told, with his street fighting experience, Sunsuke had fought armed men before. He figured if he could dodge the attack and get close, hand-to-hand combat would give him the advantage. But that experience didn't apply in this world. Before him stood a master swordsman of many years. To him, a kid like Sunsuke was just a mosquito. Gaios swung his blade with such precision it could have severed a single hair. He left a cut on the boy's forehead. The skill was so expert that Sunsuke froze for a few seconds. He hadn't even seen the sword move. The other students were astonished by the display. Leonora, seeing the tension, felt a headache coming on. She politely apologized for her knight's aggression. She reaffirmed that they had no intention of harming anyone, and would now explain everything about this world, as well as the reason they were brought here. The Dagari's holy kingdom keeps fighting back, but it's barely making a dent. They don't stand a chance of stopping the invasion entirely. This is humanity's last stand, and their only hope lies with the students here. These hero candidates. To put it bluntly, Leonora wants these high schoolers to take down the demon lord. The students could tell right away that was impossible. They've never been in a real fight in their lives. They wouldn't even be able to pull it off in their next reincarnation. Not to mention the fighting. Some in the class were already so weak and terrified that they were sobbing and begging to go home. Gaius saw this and sternly told them that while it was difficult, they had to try, adding that they couldn't possibly return to their own world now. Not until they defeat the demon lord. Everyone in the class turned pale at that. Meanwhile, Kai was still lurking behind a pillar, watching everything unfold. Regardless of whether the info was true or not, the way Gaius was speaking sounded a lot like he was just trying to pump these kids up. But even so, for people who had always lived such peaceful lives like this class, you can't just suddenly start killing people. Doing something like that requires knowledge, experience, training, and above all, natural talent. Being summoned here out of the blue, and then being forced to just shut up and obey, made Shunsuke incredibly pissed off. His blood was boiling, rage threatening to take over his brain. Gaius took one look at the kid and could tell his spirit was still intact after the earlier scuffle. He figured Shunsuke could be a useful warrior, but also a potential liability. Gaius was ready to draw his sword and finish Shunsuke off right there. But Leonora stepped forward, gently placed her hand on him, and chanted a healing spell. The wound on Shunsuke's forehead started to fade away immediately. Leonora kept talking in a gentle, soothing tone, trying to coax Shunsuke and everyone else. "I know we've acted rudely, and from the bottom of my heart, I truly apologize." Rina was completely stunned by the sight of this magical light. It was the first time she had ever seen anything like it. Leonora happily explained that this was a power known as system in this world. They use this power granted by the god Dagaris to temporarily create new phenomena in the world, also commonly known on Earth as magic. Hearing that, it seemed Leonora was quite familiar with human culture. Perhaps this wasn't the first time she had summoned people from another world. Suddenly, Leonora walked up to the class president, Midu, and told her that she was the specific reason she had summoned the whole class here. Leonora gently placed her hand on Midu's forehead. A strange, sharp pain hit her instantly. Then her hand suddenly began to glow, and from that light, a sword materialized. Leonora said Midu could harness this system power and awaken her innate ability. Guardian! Leonora had summoned this class unexpectedly, so now none of them could go back. Even knowing it was a selfish request, Leonora still begged them to stay, to try and protect the Holy Kingdom. But Midu argued that even with all this power, the class couldn't just fight right away. Leonora, of course, understood this. So she would arrange training time for them. And naturally, during that period, the Dagaris kingdom would take care of everything. Midu heard the conditions and agreed. She turned back to encourage the class. I know you're all scared, but to survive here, we need information and protection first. I'm sure the guardian power will be useful when we're in a pinch. So maybe we should listen to them for now. Is that okay? The whole class gradually agreed with the president. Then, Leonora went around and gave everyone their own unique guardian. Mirei's was a remote control pen. Shunsuke's was an energy flare surrounding his hand, called Explosion. Everyone had a guardian with its own unique traits, except for Kai, who had been hiding for so long that he hadn't gotten one yet. Leonora saw this and placed her hand on him. Suddenly, a powerful surge of red electricity erupted, changing Kai's vision. When he opened his eyes, Kai saw a strange system interface appear before him. The content displayed information about the saintess, Leonora. Kai's eyes had also turned red. Leonora said this was the Appraisal Guardian, a rather rare type. Kai looked confused, so she explained further. It was a power that allowed him to see target information. Kai heard this and immediately held up his hand to test it. A system panel with his own personal info and stats popped up. Now, Kai understood how this guardian worked. It was like a status screen in a game, but easier to understand. Suddenly, Shunsuke lunged forward and slammed his fist into the ground, making everything shake. Kai almost lost his balance. Shunsuke's punch left a huge crater in the floor. He looked at Kai with a mix of arrogance and contempt. What do you think of my explosion? Is that all you got? You just ended up with a pair of red eyes? The whole class burst out laughing at Shunsuke's mocking comment. Even Reina thought he deserved it. Probably because of how he acted like he was so important. Kai didn't understand why this class was suddenly acting so hyped and aggressive. There wasn't even any information to tell what was actually useful or not. Regardless, a guardian was just power lent to them by this world. There was no telling when it might be taken away. But for someone with experience in killing like Kai, that wasn't an issue. Just then, in front of the crowd, Kai spoke up. I assume you've all received your guardians, right? Leonora replied, I know it's hard to control at first, but they will be the weapons you use to fight the demon lord. She smiled thinly. There we go. You must all be exhausted. Please get some rest today. Afterward, in the evening, the hero candidates were taken to their rooms. Kai glanced around and thought to himself that he should gather some intel before going to sleep. Outside, a few guards were patrolling. Damn it, why do we have to patrol so late? We can't see anything, and there's no choice. Because of the hero candidates they just summoned, right? So those are the so-called hero candidates? He muttered. They're supposed to be able to protect themselves? Honestly, they still smell like nursing bottles. They don't even look like they can fight, let alone defeat the demon lord. What a joke. The saintess must know something we don't. Hiding behind a massive tree, Kai had overheard their entire conversation. He glanced over at them, thinking to himself. This was the third time he'd encountered soldiers. Based on what he'd heard, it seemed they were tightening their defenses. He scanned them, pulling up their data. Name: Zin. Age: 31. Gender: male. Attack: Defense D agility, F stamina, E magic power, F status, normal. Skill: swordplay, level 1. He mused. His only skill is basic swordplay? I thought for sure they'd be able to use magic or something. They almost spotted me, though I guess not everyone here can sense people. Taking advantage of their distraction, he dashed in the opposite direction. His eyes were cold, locked onto the path ahead. He thought, I've already mapped out most of the area around the castle. It's a fortified city, surrounded by walls. Outside, 2 guards were posted, looking more than a little drowsy. Crouched in a distant bush, Kai analyzed the situation. I'm curious about what's inside the castle, but it's heavily guarded and built like a fortress. Getting in won't be easy. He crawled slowly through the tall grass. No need to rush, that's enough for today. Suddenly, he spotted 3 girls standing in a wide-open clearing. Kai felt a spike of anxiety. Shouldn't we just quit? They're going to be furious if they find out. Yumi retorted. What? Are you scared? We're just practicing our magic a little. What's the harm? If they get mad, they'll only yell at Hashimoto. Then Reina spoke up. I couldn't sleep anyway, and besides, this is for our own good. The three of them immediately began channeling their energy, unleashing their abilities. Kai watched from afar, intently observing the flames flickering on Reina's hands. The Lord's magic? I'm still so curious about this place. Might as well watch a bit longer. Suddenly, he picked up a strange noise. Kai whipped his head around. What was that feeling? Over there, Carrie noticed the anomaly too. Did you guys hear that weird sound? They all turned toward the source of the noise. What do you think that is? Suddenly, a beast emerged. Its massive form sent a jolt of terror through everyone. They screamed in fear. What is that? Kai was taken aback too. I've never seen a creature like that before. Looks like a lizard. He immediately activated his ocular ability to assess it. Wait, that's not its name. That's its species. No, focus. That doesn't matter right now. Species, lizard. Age, 4. Gender, male. Attack, B. Defense, C. Agility, B. Stamina, C. Magic power, F. Status, aggressive. Skills, none. He realized, the problem is, its stats are light years ahead of those girls. The beast let out a roar, a strange vapor spewing from its maw. Then, it shrieked and charged straight toward the three girls. Panic set in as they scrambled in every direction, but the beast kept chasing them, clearly becoming more excited the more they ran. Kai watched from behind a boulder. It's naturally aggressive and doesn't hesitate to attack humans. It's fast on all fours, but it only moves in straight lines. It doesn't seem to have much intelligence. He pulled out a small dagger. Its hide looked tough, so he wasn't sure if the blade would do much, but he hurled it at the beast with lethal precision. The knife sank deep into the creature's thick skin. Blood sprayed out. Stunned by the hit, it stopped dead in its tracks. Kai observed from the side. Looks like the knife worked, though it was just a shallow cut. The girls kept running, their bodies tiring, until one of them tripped over a rock in the path. Reina fell hard. Reina-chan! Senpai! No! She sat up, clutching her head, her voice weak. It hurts. Suddenly she looked up and froze. The beast had caught up. It stared right at her. Reina screamed in terror. No! No! She didn't have time to run. It raised a claw to swipe at her. Reina resisted, tears streaming down her face as she shrieked. After a long moment, when nothing happened, she opened her eyes to see the beast dead, pierced by the knife. Reina blinked in shock, tears still welling in her eyes. Huh? Seeing the carnage, she curled into a ball, too terrified to move. Yumi rushed over to help her up. Reina, she asked, shaken. What happened? Did someone save me? Let's just go. I don't want to run into any more monsters. Kai breathed a sigh of relief as they finally left. I had no reason to save them, but letting them die would have weighed on my conscience. He walked over and pulled his knife from the monster's carcass. So, monsters like this? Just roam all over this world, huh? It seems like things here aren't going to be easy after all. He suddenly realized something with a jolt. Kai immediately ducked behind the beast, scanning the distance but saw nothing. His eyes narrowed, sharp and cold. Is someone there? He wondered to himself. Damn it, I should head back too. Without a second thought, Kai activated his flash step and vanished. Nearby, a mysterious figure stood watching him leave. The figure stepped forward and crushed the beast's head, blood splattering onto his hero candidate cloak. I've been so disappointed by how useless and weak they are. But then, he licked the blood off his face. It tastes like me. The next morning, the monster's carcass was dragged into the academy courtyard. The students caught sight of it and immediately recoiled in terror. Gaios spoke up. This monster was found near the royal capital last night. Midu's face turned contemplative upon hearing this, and Arashi looked equally shocked, his brow furrowed. A girl standing nearby witnessed it and was terrified, her eyes welling up. Monster, Gaios added. The demon lord has driven them insane, and now they crave human flesh. These are the things you'll be fighting, Teddy. What did you find out? I'm going to check the stain, Teddy replied. This is a trace of spell casting. It's likely from a mid-tier demon or higher. Maybe they're scouting to see our strength after hearing rumors about the hero candidates? Meanwhile, Kai was peeking from behind a pillar, listening to the situation. He thought to himself, spell casting? Is that term different from magic? Midu stepped forward and asked, Are you saying that this monster was controlled by a demon or something? Teddy replied, Oh, you're quite sharp. Exactly. Powerful demons can use charms to manipulate and control weaker monsters. He explained, First, the term monster refers to creatures transformed by mana, until they become abnormally aggressive and powerful. And mana is the power created by the demon god and demons. In other words, it's the power the demon lord and his devils use. So naturally, demons can easily defeat humans. Suddenly, Gaios cut him off. That's enough, Teddy! This annoyed him, and he shouted, What? After which he was dragged away without mercy. I still had plenty to explain. Seeing this, Kai thought, Is he a researcher? Maybe I can use him to gather information. His eyes narrowed. The bigger issue is, he looked at the beast, whose eye had fallen out. This thing was controlled by something else. He immediately activated his system. Status. Controlled. I see, he muttered. The identity of the presence I felt back then. It's a demon. He kept his eyes fixed on the creature. It must be incredibly strong. I barely sensed it for a split second, even if it was right here among us. At that moment, the mysterious figure was still tracking his every move. He let out a savage laugh. Fear only brings death. You know that, don't you? But hearing his voice, Kai regained his focus. I'm not afraid. Just then, Arashi said to Gaios, We can't go back to our world unless we kill the demon lord. And I don't intend to stay in this hellhole for long. Jin agreed from the side. Yeah, for once he's right. Midu also supported them. Yeah, okay, if we want to go back. I think fighting is our only option. However, several girls showed clear fear. Fight those monsters? I'm so scared. Kai thought to himself, I guess they're finally realizing it. This isn't some game. Fighting means struggling for your life. That's the same in any world. It's best if they learn the weight of that truth sooner rather than later. Leonora walked by, murmuring, Come on now, don't be so scared. She told herself, they just don't know how to use their power yet. All they have to do is train. Because they were chosen from another world as hero candidates, their growth rate is also different. Compared to the residents of this world, a week passed since the students began training. Kai looked at a book, thinking to himself, I can understand every letter. Huh, that's strange. How are we able to speak to each other from the very start? Suddenly, sounds from outside caught his attention. Outside, they were practicing swordsmanship. I was told my appraisal skill isn't a combat-oriented divine protection, so I'm not trained, but I'm allowed in the library. Suddenly, he recalled Leonora's words. Why don't you just read books? As soon as she said that, they all mocked her. He placed the book on the table and stood up. Is their history and culture really just this much? He wondered. Doesn't look like there's any info on demons here either. Looking outside, they were still training relentlessly. Kai ducked into a corner to observe. Just as Leonora said, the students were developing at a staggering pace. The 5 strongest among them were Narumi, Arashi, Kanzaki, Hashimoto, and Nagas. However, there was someone else with extraordinary growth. At that moment, he saw a sword spinning in the air before it was driven straight into the ground. The instructor was stunned. I surrender! I can't believe it! You've already surpassed me! Midu, standing there in shining armor, looked cool and handsome. He smiled radiantly. That's all thanks to your guidance. Thank you so much. This left Kai completely astonished. He immediately scanned his info. Name, Midu Suji. Age, 17. Gender, male. Attack, A. Defense, B. Agility. A. Endurance. B. Mana. A. Status. Normal. Skills. Demon Slaying Sword. Divine Protection level 8. Swordsmanship level 4. Just a week ago, his stats were mostly between D and F. He couldn't help but feel a bit worried. That's dizzyingly fast. Even if he is a genius, do the gods' protections affect things not directly related to strength? Just then, a group of people headed toward him. They didn't stop mocking him. Hey, what is the guy who can't fight doing at the training grounds? Shouldn't you just stay quiet and read your books? Kai stared at them, thinking, these guys haven't changed a bit. Looking at their mocking expressions and how the others were looking down on him, he felt a bit frustrated. They're getting cockier by the day. After receiving power, that guy didn't stop taunting him. Why are you ignoring me? Try to be a little friendlier, won't you? No sooner had he finished speaking than he tripped him up, sending him spinning and crashing to the ground. What's wrong, Muda? How did you just fall like that? Are you okay? He said, provocatively. His friends rushed over in a panic. He screamed in pain. You jerk, Arasi! That's enough! He's coming, someone noted. On the other side, Gaius and Leonora were approaching. Seeing Leonora walk by, Kai couldn't help but stare intently at them before quickly returning to his training position. Leonora smiled radiantly. Thank you for your attention, she added. You two are both developing very quickly, faster than I imagined, so I've decided to move the schedule up. Narumi spoke up. The schedule? You aren't going to make us go kill the Demon Lord right away, are you? Of course not. Why would I be that cruel? She closed her eyes slightly. I want you all to practice fighting monsters. They were stunned. Monsters? Everyone's expression betrayed clear anxiety. Fighting? Here? Kai's gaze was fixed ahead, seemingly deep in calculation at this moment. Gaius told everyone, Now, regarding the combat drill, as she said, we are in the middle of a forest. His expression was extremely serious. It's very treacherous here, so you cannot move as one single group. Therefore, I am splitting you into teams of 2 to 3. Leonora smiled brightly, her face glowing. Rina spoke up. 2 to 3 people? Let's team up, Suji. Sure, can I join you? Over here, they were also negotiating. Arasi-san, we'll go with you. We'll wipe out all the monsters and try to keep them from bothering you. Do whatever you want. Why would I ever want to team up with someone like you? Come on, we'll be fine. A moment later, Gaius asked everyone, All right, has everyone formed their teams? And what about you two? He looked toward Kai and Jin. Jin said timidly, I guess they don't want to team up with me. She thought to herself, maybe it's because they're afraid. Then she turned to look at Kai. I guess I have no choice but to team up with you. Is that okay? Kai responded coldly. Yeah, sure. Kazaki Jin, he thought. She's confident and indifferent. Plus, she's proud, and she doesn't seem like the type to let anyone stand in her way. Then, Jin realized someone was staring at her. She spoke up. What? Why are you staring at me like that? It's nothing. Let's just get it done. After that, she turned sharply away, looking uninterested. Leonora spoke up. Listen, everyone, because this is a special occasion. Whichever team eliminates the most monsters will receive a surprise gift. Good luck. And so, the drill began. In the forest, Jin stepped ahead while Kai trailed behind. As they walked, Jin said, Listen to me. My dominion is stronger than anyone else's, so I don't need you to do anything. Just don't get in my way. Kai replied with a weary look. Fine, sure. I'll leave it all to you. Jin glanced down, thinking, doesn't he have any self-respect? On his end, Kai thought, I'll just observe her combat ability first. He looked around. I can sense 4 presences around here. Then he sensed something else. They're surrounding us. Suddenly, a goblin appeared from the bushes. Jin was surprised. These are the monsters, right? The goblin growled and lunged straight at them. Jin channeled her energy and fired a blast of power forward. Get down! The monster was quickly enveloped in spiritual energy. It slammed into the ground. This gave him a different perspective on this girl. Watching her dominate the beast, he thought to himself, that's her dominion ability. It's a power that can force the target to obey commands. Kai looked around and said, looks like there are still a few monsters around here. Oh, I see. Drop your weapon. Immediately, following her command, the creature dropped the club in its hands and put its hands behind its back, as if controlled by a powerful force, pulling its hands behind it. At that moment, he asked her, what's wrong? You look tired. She replied, using dominion for too long makes me tired. Kai thought, so it consumes a lot of mana. Then he walked toward the bushes. Go ahead and kill that one. There's another one over there, right? Kill it. But doesn't this monster look a bit like a human? She looked at the monster, which was weeping pitifully. Kai replied, so what? You know it tried to attack us. These things are our enemies. There's no reason to spare them. Jin looked at him. Yeah, I know that. At that moment, Kai picked up a stone. Despite her power, she's still just a naive student from a peaceful Japan. He tossed the stone in his hand. Well, the only thing that matters is whether she will make the right choice when faced with danger. Just then, 3 more similar monsters appeared, growling. They slowly advanced toward where Kai was standing. He said to Jin, here they come! She shouted, I know! She used her dominion power to force them to the ground. Then, he asked her, so, what are you going to do now? Shut up! Don't just stand there, help me! You're the one who said you didn't need me to do anything. Her expression was a bit tired. I'll kill them. That's what I need to do, right? She replied, that's right. But the more difficult the command, the lower the chance of success. She covered her mouth with her hand, seeing the actual combat and the corpses with her own eyes. I was wrong to think this would be easy. Looking at the beast carcasses on the ground, he said, they attacked us, so they are our enemies. It doesn't matter if they're monsters or humans. You have to kill your enemies. His gaze was cold. If you want to live, that's just how it has to be. This left her incredibly puzzled. How can you be so calm? You don't even have any power. He picked up the remains of the beast. Don't worry about that. Keeping a cool head is my strength. He looked at the bodies. Doesn't look like there's anything worth looting here. He turned to her and asked, so what now? Are we going to keep going, or we can head back if you're scared? Jin stood there, staring at the carcasses, momentarily at a loss for what to do. She spun around sharply. Of course we're not going back. Let's keep moving. Watching her back, he thought to himself, she's just trying to act brave. But I have to admit, her personality isn't half bad. They fought their way deeper in. He wondered to himself how the others were doing. Over there, they were running non-stop. Narumi shouted while sprinting, hey! 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 What are we supposed to do? Why ask me? I thought the monsters here were supposed to be weak. Suddenly they skidded to a halt. Damn it! Then she launched an attack toward them, all or nothing. The wind whipped up. Let's attack together! She threw a stone and a whirlwind appeared, slamming a massive boulder down onto the creature. However, it didn't even leave a scratch. It stared at them with cold eyes, tensed its muscles, and stomped its foot. Both of them were stunned. Oh no! What is wrong with that monster? The beast slowly stepped toward the 2 of them. I have to get back to my own world. I haven't repaid the favor to the old man who raised me yet. I really want to show him how much I've grown, and make him proud. He's probably so sad right now, Jin thought. Her wrist tightened, gripping Kai's shirt. Are we keeping on? What if we get lost? She replied, if we just go straight, how could we get lost? He walked, muttering, if that's what you think, you're severely underestimating this forest. This made her incredibly angry. Can you just be quiet? She shot him a glare that was far from loving. As they walked, Kai thought, she's strangely arrogant. What is up with this person? At that moment, he glanced toward Jin. Kai seemed confused. Why are you staring at me? She pouted and sped up her pace. It's nothing. Suddenly, a roar echoed from deep within the forest, startling them both. Jin said, "Was that Hashimoto-san's voice just now?" Kai glanced in the direction of the scream. "It sounds like she's in trouble. What should we do?" On this side, Jin had already whipped around. "Obviously, we're going to help. Hope she's all right." This surprised Kai. "You're actually kind." She turned around, snapping, "Who do you think I am?" "Let's go." The two continued deeper into the forest. Over here, Hashimoto was in danger. She collapsed to the ground in pain. Narumi was frantic, screaming, "Hashimoto, are you okay?" Her face was covered in wounds. She whispered, "I'm fine. Just run." Narumi stepped toward her. "I can't leave you here." Just then, he looked up at the danger looming over them. A beast was closing in, raising its sharp claws. He was stunned. "Oh, crap." Suddenly, a voice rang out. "Listen, monster. Freeze!" Instantly, its arm locked up, and its entire body stood perfectly still. It turned out Jin had arrived just in time. She had used her domination skill on it. Narumi was amazed. "Kanzaki, thanks for saving us." "Oh no!" She replied, "I can't hold it like this for long." Kai was staring at the beast, thinking to himself, "Just as I thought, Kanzaki's power has different effects depending on the target." Narumi asked him, "Araji, is she still alive?" Narumi said, "She's in pain, but she's still breathing." Kai immediately replied, "Then carry her and get out of here now!" Narumi looked worried. "No, I can help," Kai countered. "Are you really going to leave Hashimoto like this?" Hashimoto was injured, sitting there looking pained. Narumi immediately hoisted her onto his back. "Sorry, I'm leaving her to you two." Seeing them leave, Kai said, "Find help if you see Midu or Leonora, okay?" He thought to himself, "Let's see." He stared at the dominated beast. The problem is this thing. He focused his gaze on it, activating the system assessment. A window instantly appeared. Species, armored bear. Mutation class, age, 10, gender, female. Attack, B. Defense, A. Agility, C. Stamina, C. Mana, F. Status, dominated, under control. Ability, none. He looked at it, thinking, those stats are really high, especially the defense. Its fur looks tough, too. "What kind of special breed is that?" Jin screamed. "I can't hold it back any longer. The monster's domination time has run out. It's starting to move." Kai immediately replied, "You've bought us enough time." Jin shot him a look. What was that for? She was fine. Suddenly, she collapsed to her knees, her eyes glazing over. Her voice was weak, her body trembling as she gasped, "I'm sorry. I can't move my legs anymore." She glanced up and saw the monster slowly closing in. Kai pulled something out of his pocket, thinking, "Damn it." He threw it. It hovered in midair toward the beast, immediately erupting into a thick cloud of smoke that blocked its vision. Kai's eyes were heavy with worry. Then, he scooped Jin up in his arms, leaving her completely stunned. "Huh?" He signaled for her to be quiet. "It'll hear us." They quickly hid behind a large tree. She asked him nervously, "What was that smoke?" He replied, "Just a smoke bomb. I had a few gadgets on me before I was summoned. Since I don't have many, I didn't want to use them carelessly. A gun, knife, smoke grenade, and training knife. This is what you call a basic assassin's kit. I'm ready to hear your thanks now." It was Midu's group approaching. "You're the monster that attacked Narumi and the others? Now you're going to face me." He immediately unleashed his attack, activating his demon-slaying sword. Midu and the beast locked eyes. Midu charged forward with his sword, his gaze ice-cold. He kept shouting as he lunged. Midu stared at it. "So tough." Suddenly, Rina rushed in to support him. "Suji, get out of the way, it's gonna burn!" A wave of fire crashed into the beast, making it writhe in the flames. Rina laughed. "How are you gonna handle that?" Midu praised her. "Nice one, Rina." The beast was hit by 2 consecutive attacks. He looked at its leg armor. I don't think my attacks could destroy that. Suddenly he was stunned to discover. Special class. What does special class mean? Over there, Jin yelled, I can't hold it any longer. The monster's domination time was up, and it began to move. Kai said, You've bought enough time. We have to run. I made it while you guys were training. He thought to himself, Obviously, I'm lying. Suddenly, Jin said, I'm sorry. This confused Kai. Why are you apologizing? I'm the one who said we should go help them, but it ended up with us just saving ourselves. No need to apologize. Her eyes sparkled. Okay, thank you. He teased her. If you were always this gentle, everyone would probably like you a lot. This made her yell angrily. Huh? Not me. Then he ordered, Don't make me repeat myself, be quiet. Now what do you want to do? I think we should run away. No. It seems there's no need. The beast is still searching for us. Suddenly, it seemed to notice something. The beast roared back, equally frantic, foam spraying from its mouth. Just as Midou's attack swung down, he dodged quickly. He gripped his sword tighter, delivering a strike that glowed with light, accompanied by a splash of blood. The beast shrieked in pain as the blade slashed deep into its arm. It let out a deafening roar. Its eyes widened, pupils dilating and glowing red, bearing razor-sharp teeth. Rina was shocked. No way! Midou spoke up. Stay calm, Rina. He observed the beast. Your attack definitely had an effect. It's moving slower than before. Then he consulted the others. Everyone stay calm. Let's kill it together. Ready? The two girls answered in unison. Got it! They split up. Midou charged with his sword. Rina unleashed her fire magic. Yumi began channeling her power, and Delphus flashed a sadistic smile. Now, it's just a matter of time. Delphus, the former demon assassin, stood by, watching. He thought to himself, It looks like the armored bear can't take them down. Their rapid improvement, and, above all, their composure is incredibly impressive. He looked toward Midou again. Especially that one. Even though this is just a scouting mission, it's time for a change of plan. I'm going to finish them here. Midou was still unaware of what was happening. He rained down blows on the beast, and under his strikes, it quickly suffered severe injuries. Blood poured out endlessly. Midou shouted, Time to finish this! Keep this lesson in mind for the next world, kid, he thought, then drove the blade through the beast, making it roar in agony. The man laughed with satisfaction. The moment you make your biggest mistake in life, he thought, is when you believe you've killed your enemy. Suddenly, he noticed something. A small knife was pressed against his throat, leaving him stunned. He muttered, You... Kai's voice came from behind him. My foster parents taught me well, that the moment you think you've won is when you've made your biggest mistake. The knife dropped, embedding its tip into the ground. He raised his hands in surrender under Kai's threat. Kai smirked. I'll keep that in mind, he thought. How did he get behind me? Then he looked at the knife on the ground. It doesn't matter. I need to escape. Suddenly, a blade sliced through him, and blood sprayed out continuously. If you answer honestly, I'll let you go. In your dreams! Who the hell are you? Kai added, I'm the one who lives in the shadows. You're from another world, aren't you? This terrified him. He gritted his teeth. Man, those teeth are ugly. Kai thought to himself. The presence I felt earlier was chilling. Was it this guy? He added, I knew we were being watched. You hid yourself well, so I used Midou and the others as bait and waited for you to show your face. So, you noticed me from the start. We haven't been in this world long, so I need information. You better tell me everything you know about the demons. He smirks. You think I'd actually tell you? Suddenly he stabs the man. The guy screams in agony. He stands up and walks away calmly. It'd be easier if you just answered honestly. Unless you want to know what hell really feels like. The man thinks in agony. Don't underestimate me, you brat! Saliva gushes uncontrollably from his mouth. Suddenly, he realizes something. Purple sludge starts pouring from his mouth, looking absolutely horrific. His face starts reacting, his eyes rolling back as fluid leaks out. Kai stands there, observing the situation. Damn! So he was carrying poison. They had a plan for this contingency. The Demon King's army. I thought they were complex, but they're even more so than I imagined. Suddenly, the system appears. Something... He looks up and mutters, Keke-yukun? Nearby? Jin asks anxiously. Is that a dead body? He looks up, his eyes changing color. Kanzaki? Kai glances at Kaneki behind him. Kaneki looks terrified as she stares at the corpse on the ground. Kai stares at Kaneki. Kaneki? He looks at her. How long have you been watching? She looks completely panicked. Since he was on the ground. She says, this guy is an assassin from the Demon King's army, Delphus. He lies sprawled on the ground, looking miserable. The Demon King's army. She recalls the armored bear monster. That monster was a pawn for this guy all along. And when Nagas and the others were attacked by monsters, it was also his doing. Kanzaki asks him, do you mean they're trying to kill us? He replies, it's clearly the Demon King's army. They'll try to kill the hero candidates. You're right. I was so naive. She looks worried. But how were you able to spot the assassin among those guys? Nobody else spotted him. He looks at Kaneki and thinks to himself, I guess there's no reason to hide it anymore. He steps forward. My family works as assassins. So I could smell it on him. I do the same line of work. This shocks her, and she shouts, an assassin! What are you talking about? He looks at the bleeding corpse. Believe it or not, the body on the ground is real. Hearing him, Kaneki looks terrified. Kai warns her, Kanzaki, don't tell anyone about what you just saw. The class is already shaken by Hashimoto's condition. He recalls Hashimoto's wounded state. Kanzaki clenches her fists and softly replies, okay, you're unusually kind. I didn't think you'd care about your classmates. Kai is a bit surprised by this. He turns around and pulls up his hood. They're not like me. They've never fought before. He looks back at Kaneki. His eyes narrow slightly as he looks at her, thinking to himself, Kanzaki's ability might be useful in the future. At this moment, they are gathered around Hashimoto. Injured, a girl kneels down. It's student number 34, Hanoka Theory. She uses healing magic to save Hashimoto. Her hands glide over his body. Lights flash, and she mutters under her breath, please get better. Her soft fingers glide over Hashimoto's throat. Everyone outside is amazed, their eyes wide as they watch. Narumi approaches. What do you think, Hono-chan? Will Hashimoto be okay? Siri softly replies, I think he'll recover in an hour. Narumi sighs in relief. That's great. You're amazing. Suji is incredibly strong, Midu replies from the side. Yeah, but I have Rina and the others by my side. Kai just leans against a tree. Calm as if nothing happened, he closes his eyes, seemingly unbothered by his surroundings. Suddenly, he notices Kaneki staring at him. What are you looking at me for? She turns away immediately. No reason at all. Suddenly, a familiar voice rings out. Hey, you kids! Leonora smiles brightly. Looks like you managed to do it, huh? Midu turns back, shocked. Leonora-san? Gaio-san? Narumi turns around, her voice sharp. Where have you been this whole time? Gaios replies, we didn't go anywhere. Our job is to observe you kids. This leaves her stunned. Then why didn't you help us? He looks calm. If we saved you every single time, your training wouldn't have any effect. Midu's eyes show clear annoyance. Gaio-san, he almost died. Why would you... He replies, pushing fate to the brink of death is a basic part of practical training. From now on, that's how you'll fight. Don't be so quick to voice your pathetic complaints. Hearing this, the group outside is shocked. Midu steps closer. That's not what I meant. Didn't you say this place was full of weaklings? Leonora adds, in that case, it must be the work of the demon assassin. Those outside are surprised. The demon assassin? Leonora smiles thinly. Armored bears aren't supposed to live in this area. Perhaps that guy was on a reconnaissance mission to test the strength of the hero candidates. He adds, if so, there's a possibility it's hiding somewhere right now. That's right. We need to reinforce our defenses. She smiles. From now on, we're increasing the difficulty of your training. At your current level, you'll all end up dead. A few people outside are shocked. Increase the difficulty? Even harder than this? Someone else expresses their frustration. This is already scary enough. Siri's eyes well up with tears. Are we all going to be killed? Midu shouts, Leonora-san, that's unreasonable. Everyone is already shaken after the first battle. Leonora maintains the same attitude. It may sound unreasonable, but you'll definitely die if you don't do as I say. This makes Midu furious. He grinds his teeth. Arashi speaks up from the side. First you drag us here and now you're giving us orders? Gaio says nothing, just walks past him quietly. I'll put it this way so you understand. He fixes his gaze far away. You're all pawns of Leonora-sama. Don't ever think you can defy her orders. How can you still be so calm? Midu screams. Think about it. If we don't obey them, their country will become our enemy. We don't stand a chance of winning. Hearing this, Gaios nods in approval. Impressive. You catch on fast. Don't worry. Both of you are incredibly valuable pawns. We won't do anything harmful as long as you behave. Hearing this, he curled his lip into a sneer. So their country is going to become our enemy then? He cocked his fist and lunged forward, yelling, Bring that water here! The old man quickly realized what was happening, glanced at him, and gathered his energy. A powerful attack exploded outward. A massive blast erupted, blindingly bright and shrouded in thick, swirling dust. Through the smoke, several silhouettes emerged. The old man gripped his wrist tightly, looking pitiful. Yet he wasn't even scratched. He immediately launched a counterattack, which left the young man completely stunned. The moment the old man's powerful punch landed, Arashi couldn't block it in time. He was sent flying, crashing into the ground and sliding across the dirt. His face was beaten so badly he was unrecognizable. He screamed in pain. The crowd nearby was terrified, too afraid to even speak. Gaio said, This is the level of power you two have right now, and turned to walk away immediately. Tomorrow will be even tougher. Prepare yourselves. He shakily got back up, muttering under his breath, Arashi-san, that bastard. He gritted his teeth, his eyes locked onto the two of them. I'll kill him for sure. Time passed quickly. A day later, during the military drill, Teddy spoke up. By order of Leonora-sama, I will be in charge of today's training. Come to think of it, I heard one of you was injured yesterday. Are you feeling all right now? Hashimoto replied, If you're talking about me, I'm fine now after using her healing magic, as you can see. She pointed forward, adding, And that idiot over there is too. As it turned out, the person she was pointing at was none other than Arashi. Teddy laughed. I see. So, one of you has the ability of a divine guardian to heal wounds. It's wonderful to hear that. Hearing this, everyone was excited. Now I will explain today's training. This is my research facility, and I will have you all fight monsters here. Midu asked, You mean monsters inside the building? Teddy didn't answer, just pushed up his glasses and smiled. Right then, the doors opened. It'll be faster if I just show you. Inside, goblins were trapped in iron cages. Over here is a lizard man, a lizard-like monster gnawing on the bars. And over here is an ogre, a giant beast with drool constantly dripping from its mouth. This made the girls in the group a bit frightened. They moved deeper inside. As they walked, Teddy said proudly, These are all monsters raised for my research. Leonora also chimed in. Indeed, your research institute, Teddy, is the perfect place to use for training. Teddy added, I'm also glad to be able to collect combat data from these monsters. They walked for a while, everyone on high alert. The combat drill began. Kai stood at a distance, watching them train, thinking to himself, Everyone is surprisingly calm, even though they were suddenly forced to fight. I guess yesterday's experience had a big impact on them. His eyes narrowed. Still, I bet they're still a little scared. On the other side, Rena had fallen painfully, yet she tried to suppress the pain, stood up, and continued the fight. The monster in front of her held a blade and roared, staring right at her. Midu shouted, "Teddy-san! This monster is too strong for her!" Teddy kept a calm expression. "I don't think so. Furthermore, Leonora-sama said I need to be strict with you all." Suddenly, as the mage looked back, she seemed a bit confused. "And it seems you are a bit mistaken." Rena wiped the blood from her face. "Candidates for heroes with your divine guardians shouldn't lose to a monster of that level." She muttered, "How annoying." Then she waved her hand, and a massive flame appeared. "The most important thing in battle is willpower. These should be easy for you. The only reason you feel this way is not because you're worried or hesitating." Midu was surprised. "Does it really make a difference?" Sadie replied excitedly, "Yes! If you increase the level of your divine guardian, you can create many variations of it." A foot slowly stepped down. "Speaking of which," Midu turned around quickly. "Shinju-kun, is something wrong?" Kai opened his new eye. "According to my assessment, you have a new divine guardian." He immediately scanned Midu's information. Monster Slayer Sword Skill, Divine Guardian Level 2. Monster Attack Kamikaze Divine Guardian Level 1, Sword Skill Level 4. Oreo Up EVIN, Cruising Air Protection Level 2. Monster Kamikaze Attack Diviner Protection LV. "A new Divine Guardian?" Midu asked. "Teddy-san, can I try it out?" "Of course. That's the whole point of this drill." Then he slowly stepped into the arena, muttering to himself. Right then, the system activated. Monster Slayer Sword Skill and Monster Attack Kamikaze. Looking at the beast, he asked, "What's wrong? Are you scared?" He gripped his sword and lunged forward. "Sorry, but I won't hold back." He rushed toward it in a flash. The monster immediately raised its arm to block, howling. With just one swing of his blade, its arm was sliced in two. Red blood sprayed everywhere as the beast roared in pain. Midu looked on, triumphant. With one more strike, its head fell to the ground in an instant. This left Kai, watching from the outside, quite surprised. He thought to himself, "At this rate, he won't have any trouble with the defense of the armored bear. I wonder if my hypothesis was correct and it created a new divine guardian for me." Without even looking, I can tell someone has a new guardian. Scanning info. Name, Arashi Suzuka. Age 17, male. Attack, B. Defense, B. Agility, B. Stamina, C. System power, C. Durability, normal. Skills, Guardian Annihilation Level 2, Guardian Grenade Level 1, Martial Arts Level 3. He closes his eyes. Still, I shouldn't have gone up to him and said all that. We can expand our Guardian's power. I guess I can't just rely on my old techniques in this world. I have to get better too. By now it's already night. Everyone is sitting in the room. Narumi speaks up. "Are you serious, Arashi?" "Yeah, I am." Arashi frowns. "First, I'll kill Ganas. Then I'll tie up Leonora and force her to tell me how to get back to our world." Everyone agrees in unison. "So that means we're finally getting out of this hellhole? We won't have to worry about being summoned here again if we kill Leonora," Arashi says, looking anxious. "Work with me, Narumi. You're sick of their attitude too, right?" Narumi asks timidly, Do you think we can actually win? We'll have a chance if you work with us." Narumi grinds his teeth, thinking to himself, "I know this is the only way back to our old world, but killing someone, it just feels so wrong." Then he remembers those who were hurt, but says softly, "All right, I'll work with you." The next day, everyone continues training. Midu is training hard. Sakai is watching him. "You're working really hard," he says suddenly. Shinju Midu stops, "Because I'm still too weak, so I have to become stronger." He narrows his eyes. "I think you could already take down half the knights in this country." It's still not enough. I couldn't beat Gaia-san. I need to be even stronger. Strong enough to protect everyone, no matter what happens. He adds, Midu, what do you think about Leonora and Gaia-san? This immediately catches Midu's attention. I know they want to use us as pawns in their war, but I don't think they're lying when they say they won't do anything to us. If we just listen to them? He asks, so what are you saying? Are you going to bet your life and fight until the Demon Lord is defeated? Midu's eyes are full of determination. Yes, I've already decided that. But I'll be the only one who has to fight. I'll become the hero of this land and defeat that Demon Lord. That's why I can try to compromise. And I'm sure everyone will live safely. A nice idea, but do you really think Leonora will agree to that? He raises his sword. I'll swing this blade, and she'll definitely agree. Just then, a voice calls out, You've all done a great job today. It turns out to be Gaios and Leonora. Teddy walks up excitedly. Leonora-sama? Teddy, you will be in charge of the hero candidates while we are away. He replies, Yes, ma'am, I won't let you down. Rena speaks up. While you're away? Where are you two going? Leonora smiles. That's right. We'll be gone for a few days. That's why we're asking Teddy to look after you all during this time. After saying that, she turns around. Pardon us. The two of them walk away, their silhouettes fading into the distance. Teddy watches them go, his lips curling into a slight smile. The sky is unusually clear. Gaios asks, Do you think this is a good idea? Leonora asks, Why would you say that? He replies, Please don't play dumb. That kid Arashi, he's up to something. Leonora brings her teacup to her lips and takes a sip. True. It might be a rebellion against us. Gaios gets out of the carriage and says, So, what are you planning to do about it? Inside the carriage, she smiles brightly. I'm curious to see what they'll do. Just leave them be for now. He narrows his eyes. I know they're reaching their potential, but they are still just hero candidates. It might be unlikely, but if they try to rise up against us, that won't happen. Besides, they can't defeat me. Never. Out in the field, a few buffalo are grazing. He narrows his eyes. That's true. But don't you think we could use this as an opportunity? The tea in her hand swishes. Yes. I'm thinking of establishing a hierarchy system. Once that happens, so we will crush this rebellion and break their fangs, once and for all. I can see a few suspicious things going on. But for now, let's just let them be. Before long, that night arrived. Kai is fighting a beast in the woods. He pushes off with his feet, leaping high. He hangs in the air, staring down at the beast, then lunges straight forward. He throws a small dagger into the beast. Realizing there are no more signs of life, he leaves. So, it took me 13 seconds to kill a monster at this level. Activating appraisal. Name, Shinju Kai, age 17, male. Attack, B. Defense, F. Agility, B. Power, C. System power, E. Status, normal. A skill set consisting of Appraisal level 2, Weak point detection level 1, Assassination level 5, Dagger technique level 5, Throwing technique level 5, Disguise level 5. He thinks to himself, I think I leveled up when I killed that demon assassin. The problem is, how do I actually use this stuff? Suddenly, a noise made him whip around. It was a monster charging straight at him. It slammed a fist into the ground, sending rocks and debris flying everywhere. As Kai faced it down, he muttered to himself. The giant beast opened its massive jaws and lunged. Kai instantly spread his fingers, manifesting 3 small daggers, and launched himself at the creature. The beast took the hits and staggered back. Wait, he thought, is this an isekai? I guess this is the perfect time to test my new skill. He activated weakness detection, and immediately the beast's vulnerabilities were highlighted in glowing circles. Right there, the back of the neck. Kai pushed off the ground, soaring through the air. Hovering for a split second, he locked onto the target and hurled a dagger with perfect precision. It struck the beast right in the nape of its neck. Blood sprayed as the creature collapsed, dead. So that's how it works. It shows me the weakest point on any monster. Got it. So, weakness detection. It's not a bad skill, but it's not enough. I need more power if I'm going to survive in this world. He clenched his fist. I need to get stronger. Suddenly, a group of goblins approached. Kai instantly toggled the detection skill again. Their weak points were centered on their left chests and the tops of their heads. He struck in a blur, driving his daggers deep into their skulls. Not even 2 minutes later, they were all down. That's right, their hearts and brains. Those are the fatal spots. But this skill isn't really efficient against run-of-the-mill monsters. I need a larger test subject. Maybe I should go find something bigger. As he searched, a sound caught his attention. Human footsteps. A silhouette slowly emerged from the distance. It was Kanzaki, scanning the area with a light. Shishin-kun? He whipped around. Kanzaki? What are you doing out here at this hour? She stepped closer. I came looking for you. I didn't see you in the dorms, and I guessed you might be out here. I found you? She added. He sighed. The forest is dangerous at night. You should go back. She reacted sharply, her expression hardening. I should be the one saying that to you. You know that, right? He replied. I'm used to the dark, but you're different. Fighting monsters at night isn't like the daytime. She snapped back. Shut up. What are you doing out here anyway? Kai answered, I was just testing my new divinity ability. She tilted her head, confused. A new divinity ability? Teddy mentioned something about that, didn't he? He said we might develop new abilities as our divinity levels increase. She paused, deep in thought. So, what exactly is your new power? He turned to walk away. Why would I tell you? She grew visibly frustrated. You know I only came here because I was worried about you. He gave a faint smile. Worried? You? Worried about me? She blushed and tried to brush it off. No, that's just how I talk, that's all. Anyway, you should go home. I'm going to keep testing my ability for a bit. She retorted, Then I'm coming with you. Suddenly, she froze, noticing something. She pointed ahead. Hey, what's that smoke? He frowned. Smoke? Looking into the distance, a thick orange haze filled the sky. It turned out a house was being burnt to the ground, and goblins were swarming the area. Beasts were preparing to attack the survivors, letting out terrifying roars. Siri ran out in a panic, only to come face to face with that same giant monster. Just then, an attack flew past her. Midu had arrived just in time. Siri, are you okay? She was still trembling, but managed a faint, Thank you. As the goblins closed in, he narrowed his eyes. Damn it! There are too many of them. They walked through the flames without a hint of fear. Rena ran out, shouting, I was just trying to get some sleep. What the hell is wrong with these things? Midu gritted his teeth. No time for complaining. Let's just take them out. The fire raged on. Kai and Kanzaki rushed back, panicked. Our dorm! It's on fire? It seemed everyone else was already fighting monsters. Teddy called out, I'm so glad you two are safe. Kai replied, We just stepped out for a bit. What on earth is happening here? I'm not entirely sure, Teddy said. I woke up to the smell of smoke, and then these monsters were everywhere. Kai narrowed his eyes. This is human work. The mastermind has to be nearby. Let's find them and take them down. A voice echoed through the area. Impressive deduction, little hero candidates. The group turned, shocked to see who stepped out of the shadows. Teddy. I was wondering, how could these monsters have even gotten in here? But now it all makes sense. These are all monsters from your laboratory, right? He smirked. They're my precious little lab rats. Besides, I gave them a few concoctions to toughen them up. They were far too weak before. Kai glared at him. What is your goal? What do you gain by killing hero candidates? The man replied, It's an order from above. I've been commanded to wipe out all of you. Even if it means I lose my position, so be it. I don't hate you kids, but I am going to kill you, Kanzaki gasped. Orders from above? Wait, you mean... Are you talking about Leonora-san? No, of course not. I wasn't talking about that old fox. He recalled the order. This is an order from the Demon Lord. Narumi screamed, You're a spy for the Demon Lord? He replied, Exactly. And if I complete this job well, I'll be granted a position as a researcher there. Have you fallen so far into the darkness that all you care about is researching monsters? He didn't say a word, just adjusted his glasses slightly. Then Teddy burst out laughing. I'm sorry, but human society just can't grasp the true nature of these mysterious things, which we call monsters. The fire grew larger. Teddy stood above, looking incredibly excited, and taunted, Come on, give it your best shot. Just then, the beasts began their attack. She screamed, Kanzaki! I know, he replied. She reached out her hand to control them. Stay put. Then she said, Your opponent is that guy. He sneered, Useless! Get up, my monsters! The monsters returned to normal and started moving again. Kanzaki shouted, What? How is that possible? Teddy replied, I'm a scientist, remember? I know how to deal with unruly monsters. Then he ordered, Attack them! Kanzaki stepped back. Kai had already drawn his familiar small knife. He slashed with lightning speed. One by one they fell, blood spurting as they collapsed to the floor. Teddy laughed and said, There are still plenty more. Where do they keep coming from? The whole pack of monsters rushed forward. Kai leaped into the air and started taking them down one by one with just the small knife in his hand. He drove it straight into the crocodile monster's head. Suddenly, he saw a giant monster charging at him. He dodged its strike and gave it a kick that sent its teeth and lips into a mangled mess. Less than 2 minutes later, it hit the ground. He stood there, holding his knife in a defensive stance. The other beasts looked at him with wary eyes. Teddy yelled, What are you doing? That guy doesn't even have divine protection. Below, Kai stood with his hands together. Then he snapped his eyes open, activating his status scan. Teddy Archimedes, age 28, gender, you as male. Attack, F, defense, F, agility, F, endurance, F, mana, F, condition, demi-human, magic ability, domination level 1, magic ability, domination level 1. So that's it. The reason Kanzaki's domination didn't work is because the monsters were taking orders from someone with stronger magic. Very sharp, aren't you? That's right. Powerful demons can use domination magic to control monsters. Teddy gritted his teeth. Damn it! I didn't want to use this, but I have no other choice. He let out a long whistle, which made Kai look worried. What are you doing? Teddy smiled and said, You'll find out soon enough. Then I'll end this before that happens. Suddenly, a blinding light flashed, startling him. A massive fireball dropped right in front of him. Kai quickly retreated, his teeth clenched in pure rage. What the hell is that? A dragon made of fire appeared. Teddy laughed maniacally. This is the fire dragon, my trump card. The giant dragon stared down at the tiny people below. It lunged down, and rocks rained down relentlessly, shocking them all. What? Kanzaki panicked. No! We can't dodge this. However, Kai quickly pulled her into his arms and managed to evade. Are you okay, Shinjuku Narumi? I'm okay. It's preparing to attack again. He picked Kanzaki up and started running. I understand. The fire dragon flapped its wings and continued attacking. The two of them moved away, leaving only Kai standing there. It's coming. Suddenly, he spotted its weak point. His eyes lit up. I see it now. He moved in to strike, but suddenly he froze, discovering that the dragon didn't react at all. He gripped his wrist. So hard. I can't cut through it with my current attack power. Watching the dragon roar, he thought to himself, what should I do? Look at that, the perfect size for my prey. Arashi stood on the roof, staring down, then channeled his energy and lunged forward. Die! A direct strike made the dragon writhe in pain. He laughed. How's that, you damn lizard? Suddenly, his expression turned to one of panic. The dragon blasted flames directly onto his body. His body caught fire, and Arashi writhed in agony. Kai sighed. You let your guard down. Kai stood up and pulled something from his pocket. Listen closely, Arashi. What? We have to take it down together. He turned, responding angrily. I don't need you. Kai looked helplessly at the ferocious fire dragon and said, I can see its weak point, but I don't have enough attack power. Arashi spoke up with a look of contempt. So you want me to help? I don't team up with losers. Suddenly, it was urgent. It's coming! The fire dragon charged directly at the spot where they were standing. Arashi was utterly terrified, cowering before its overwhelming power. Kai challenged him. If you want to defeat it yourself, then do it. Arashi replied angrily. You son of a... Arashi asked impatiently. So? Where is the weak point? Kai replied quickly. There's an inverted scale on its neck. Do you see it? Arashi looked up at the fire dragon and realized there really was a small scale. That one? He landed safely. He hurriedly called out to Arashi. Arashi rushed forward at top speed. I'm on it! But I still have to admit, he's strong. Arashi stood up, staring back. Damn it, that hurts. It sent them flying high into the air, then roared loudly and unleashed flames. Arashi was completely bewildered. How is that possible? It blasted red fire right into his face. He screamed in intense pain immediately. Kai quickly assigned roles. I'll draw its attention, and you aim your blast at that scale. Can you do it? Arashi, full of confidence, definitely. Teddy stood on the high castle wall, urging the fire dragon. What are you just standing there for? He shouted loudly. Kill them! The fire dragon roared with rage. It used its long, sharp claws to unleash a flurry of attacks, leaving Kai and Arashi with no time to react. They tried to fight back against its overwhelming strength. It let out a deafening roar, as if it wanted to tear space itself apart. Sensing the situation had stabilized, Kai dashed quickly toward the fire dragon. It glanced at him in surprise. Kai shouted, Over here! You successfully drew the fire dragon's attention. It quickly opened its mouth to breathe fire on him, but with his natural agility, Kai managed to dodge the blow just in time. You've successfully grabbed the fire dragon's attention. It quickly opens its maw, ready to blast you with flames, but with his natural agility, Kai manages to dodge the attack just in time. After landing safely, he calls out hurriedly, Arashi! Arashi, get over here fast! Arashi replies, Got it! He aimed precisely at the scale on the fire dragon's neck and urgently landed a powerful punch right on its weak spot. Die, you miserable lizard! Destructive Blasty, activate! The fire dragon shrieked in agony as some kind of yellow fluid oozed from its face. It began plummeting from the sky. Teddy looked on in utter confusion while Arashi let out a mocking laugh. Too easy, Kai retorted with a sneer. And you actually have the nerve to say that? Arashi barked angrily. Shut up! Kai looked up at Teddy, challenging him. You've lost your trump card. Do you intend to keep going? Teddy was terrified but tried to respond. Of course, I still have plenty of monsters. But as he looked closely, he realized all his monsters had been completely wiped out. They were lying scattered across the ground, and with blood-stained swords in their hands, they coldly declared, We've taken care of these monsters. Having said that, Midu and her teammates all looked at him with burning combat spirit. Teddy panicked and shrieked, Oh, hell no! Just as he tried to run away, someone else stood right behind him, blocking his path. Where do you think you're going? Suddenly, as he hurriedly retreated, he slipped. He reached out his hand, begging for help. But he received none, and he fell into a water tank, thrashing about inside. As soon as he regained his composure, the tip of a blade was pointed straight at his head. Kai spoke in a cold voice. It's midnight, and we've wasted too much time fighting, but there are a few things I want to ask you. Teddy's face turned pale. Trembling with fear, he replied, Wait, Just wait. I'll tell you everything. Just please, don't kill me. Then, his face suddenly darkened. His eyes shifted to a ghastly shade of purple. Kai and Reina watched him in shock as he collapsed into the water tank, with purple poison flowing from the corners of his eyes. Kai looked at Teddy. He's dead, Midu asked, puzzled. What was that just now? Kai calmly explained. It was probably some kind of curse. I read about things like that in the library archives. Midu pondered for a moment and said, So, they placed a curse on him, and if he tried to leak information, the curse would kill him. Kai looked worried. I think the Demon Lord's army will continue to be a threat to us. One day after the incident with Teddy, at a grand and magnificent castle, suddenly a voice spoke up. Unbelievable. Leonora chuckled with satisfaction. To think such a thing would happen while I was away. Narumi pointed an angry finger at her face. You were the one who gave Teddy his mission. Don't you intend to apologize? She continued to laugh cryptically, then said, That is true. I apologize for the misunderstanding. Let me correct my statement. I didn't think such a weak monster tamer could cause this much damage. That was what I meant. Everyone around them was stunned, looking at her in bewilderment. Rena retorted, annoyed, Wait, you mean you two knew he was a demon spy but still let him run wild? Leonora kept smiling. I already told you both that from now on, your training will get increasingly harsh. What happened is just part of it. Tuki grumbled. We almost died! He set everything on fire while we were sleeping. Gaio spoke up to defend Leonora. Don't be so childish. It's your own fault for not staying alert during the night. The students looked at the two of them with fury. Kai thought to himself, He's right. They didn't notice the monster until it was too late. But it's still absurd to expect anything more from average high school students. Leonora announced seriously. Now, let's move on to the next main topic. You all will be visiting the royal capital. Midu wondered, What will we be doing there? Leonora said solemnly. The focus is on revealing the hero candidates. A public parade will be held in the royal capital. You will be on stage as the lead performers. Night began to fall that day. The moon shone brightly, illuminating the entire sky. Gaio sat majestically on his horse and ordered his soldiers. That's enough for today. Rest a bit until the sun rises. They obeyed and replied, Understood. In the darkness, the students were sitting around a campfire, chatting. Suddenly, a voice rose. I think there are about 30 of them. Arashi was analyzing the situation while enjoying some meat. Everyone around was surprised. 30? What do you mean? He calmly replied, The number of soldiers traveling with us, and from what I can see, there's nothing special about them. Kenta said excitedly, Wow, I bet you could take them all out with one punch. Arashi snapped, What are you getting at? Arashi answered irritably, Don't you get it? The opportunity to act has arrived. Asushi replied, That's right. Kenta and Asushi said in turn, We have always had so many soldiers around us, but now there are only 30. Our numbers are higher. Arashi asserted, They are clearly underestimating us. I bet they never thought we could retaliate. He was burning with fighting spirit. We'll move tonight. Call Narumi and her group over here. Kai stood leaning against the tent, deep in thought. He's right. There are very few soldiers traveling with us. They aren't professionals either. But that's because Leonora and Gaios are confident they can control us on their own. I need more time to figure out the reason for such confidence. Then, he called out to Midu, Can we talk for a moment? Darkness was falling, and most everyone had returned to their tents to get some sleep. But a group of students, including Arashi, Kenta, Asushi, and others, had slipped off into the woods. Arashi lowered his voice and asked, You think those guards are all fast asleep by now? Narumi replied calmly, Seems like it. Arashi gave a sharp order. All right, let's do this. Midu stepped in to stop him. Wait, Arashi! He pulled Reina and a few others along as they confronted them. Tension hung heavy in the air as Midu walked slowly toward them. I heard you're planning to kill Leonora-san and Gaia-san, Midu said. Arashi furrowed his brow and snapped, Which damn rat told you that? Midu replied calmly. I just happened to overhear it while passing by. Rina asked, concerned. Are you guys seriously going to do this? I know they're a pain, but this is insane. Arashi couldn't hide his frustration. You're the ones who are crazy! How long are we supposed to let her treat us like trained dogs? Midu pleaded intensely. I get how you feel, but you're taking this too far. There's got to be another way! Arashi roared in his face. All you ever do is talk! Do you actually have a plan? Midu laid out his plan. I'll become Leonora-san's pawn and defeat the demon lord. In return, I'll make her guarantee everyone's safety. Arashi retorted sharply. You really think she'll listen to you? Midu responded confidently. I believe that as I get stronger, I'll have the leverage to negotiate. Arashi turned away, resolute. Still impossible. And another thing, I don't need someone like you protecting me. Now get out of my way, I just want to go back to my own world. Determined, Midu's group stood their ground. If you're really going to go through with this, we'll stop you. Arashi clenched his fists, his anger reaching a breaking point. You bastards! He shifted his stance, preparing to lunge at them. You'll regret this! Arashi launched a kick straight at Midu. Luckily, Midu blocked the strike, but was still sent tumbling to the ground. He looked a bit shaken. So fast. And this power. Arashi couldn't help but be surprised. No way, the bastard actually blocked it. Just as the tension between Arashi and Midu peaked, 2 guards walked up. What are you guys doing out here? Midu spoke up. Sorry, we were just discussing some things. Hearing this, the 2 guards turned and walked away. They chatted loudly. We've got to wake up early tomorrow, let's hit the hay. Arashi clicked his tongue in annoyance. What a pain. Midu turned to look at him again. Arashi gritted his teeth, simmering with rage. I've had enough of these weaklings. The scene shifted to the Dagari sanctum in the royal capital. The streets were bustling with people coming and going, creating a lively atmosphere. Narumi couldn't help but be amazed by the energy of the place. So, this is the royal capital, she said. Mireille agreed. It's so crowded. Rina turned and replied. Still not as packed as Tokyo, though. Yumi nodded in agreement. True enough. Gios led the caravan of carriages and horses, followed by the students on foot. People around them watched with curiosity. Could it be? Gios shouted his command. Clear the way! Make room for the Archmage Leonora and the hero candidates! The onlookers whispered among themselves. Hero candidates? You mean the ones chosen by God? Then they turned to look at the students walking behind. The crowd cheered and applauded excitedly. Midu suddenly raised one hand high. Arashi, Asushi, and Kenta looked at the crowds on both sides of the street with visible annoyance. Kai spoke up. I guess these people really put a lot of faith in the hero candidates, and the idea that we'll save them too. Jin looked frustrated. Kind of uncomfortable, isn't it? Kai didn't answer, just glanced silently into the distance. Finally, they arrived at the royal capital. Welcome, hero candidates, to the royal capital. Please get some rest and recover your strength after the long journey. The one known as the Holy Knight, Venus, welcomed them warmly. The male students rushed excitedly into the bedroom. The bed is so soft. Thank goodness I was so tired of sleeping on the ground. Meanwhile, the female students invited each other to enjoy the hot springs, feeling like they had been brought back to life. Ah, this feels amazing. Arashi and his group were enjoying a lavish meal. Delicious! Tell them to bring more! In a quiet room, Midu was training with his sword alone. Up on the high castle tower, Kai was quietly watching from afar, observing everything. He stared at the royal capital and thought to himself, time to dig up some information. Guards were stationed all around the castle. After observing for a while, Kai realized the situation wasn't looking good. Too many guards moving around the castle like that. It's too dangerous. His gaze scanned the area, and he accidentally saw something. That made him stop. It's the knight who just gave us the tour. After that, he hid behind a large tree and quietly observed Venus. Venus was standing next to 2 guards. One of them began chatting with Venus. Where are the hero candidates? Venus-sama? Venus replied, "They're probably resting in their rooms." A guard wondered, "Is it really true that those kids were chosen by the creator?" Father Venus replied casually, "If they are significantly stronger than ordinary teenagers, then yes, it is true." The guard continued, "To be honest, I'm worried about the Demon Lord's subordinates. Leaving the hero candidates in the royal capital will surely provoke them to act." The other one added, Yeah, there's been a lot of unrest lately. I think we should be more careful." Kai, standing nearby, had heard everything they discussed. Venus reassured them, "Don't worry, the hero candidates will protect the royal capital." "That's it, right?" They laugh loudly. "Yeah, that's right." The three of them head off together. "Time for training," one says. "Let's go." Kai falls into deep thought. "I've got even more questions now. I should probably head into town." The scene transitions to a bustling tavern at night. The place is packed with people constantly coming and going. Almost every seat is taken. A long, dark hand reaches out, placing a single gold coin on the counter. He orders the old bartender to pour him the best beer and bring the best snacks. It's Kai. He pulls his hood up, gently shadowing his face. The old bartender replies warmly, "Sure thing. Just hold on a second." He catches bits of conversation from the people nearby. "By the way, have you seen those hero candidates yet? They look like a bunch of brats." Someone else cuts in. "Forget about them. We must have faith in the church." "You don't want the church hearing you say that." Kai thinks to himself, "The church seems to have serious power in this country. People here are more afraid of them than the king or the nobility." The old man slides the beer over to Kai. "Here you go, kid." Kai speaks up. "Bartender, I want to ask you about something. See, I'm new to this country, so I don't know much." The old man looks surprised, but happily agrees to help. All right." Kai begins his questions. "I've heard a lot about the Demon King's subordinates. Who exactly are they?" The old man scratches his head and explains, "Them, huh? You know this country is at war with the demon army, right? The leader, the Demon King, is the most terrifying monster of all. They say even humans can be overpowered and seduced by the Demon King's influence." Kai interjects, "Are those the Demon King's subordinates?" The old man continues, "Exactly. They're running rampant all over the country. Just a few days ago, they blew up a nobleman's mansion." Kai sighs. What a headache. So that's how it is, he thinks. They're a terrorist organization. A while later, Kai rushes out. He's got a lot on his mind. The hero candidates are meant to defeat the Demon King, so us being in the royal capital is definitely going to provoke his subordinates. Because of that, everyone looks worried. Jin comes running over, calling out loudly, "Shinju-kun!" She stops right in front of Kai, asking urgently, "I finally found you!" "Where have you been?" Kai replies, his face showing unease. "We're in a completely unfamiliar place. I had to go gather some intel." Jin answers, worried, "I understand, but going alone is too dangerous. I can help if you really need it." Kai brushes her off coldly. "I can handle it myself. Just stay quiet and stick with the others." Jin snaps, getting angry. "What's with that attitude? You should be glad I'm willing to help you." Kai relents. "Fine. I'll let you help me," Kai says, stating his request. "I need information about the royal capital. Can you talk to the people in town?" Jin is delighted and quickly agrees. "Really? Well, since you asked so nicely, I guess I have to." Jin is so happy, she starts singing to herself as she walks away. She quickly blends into the crowd and leaves. Finally, Kai wears a mysterious smile on his face. After a night of effort, Kai has to sneak back home. He opens the window quietly, his face showing exhaustion and frustration. Kai throws his cloak onto the bed, along with all the tangled thoughts in his head. In the end, I didn't get any useful information. But at least I know a new enemy exists. Late at night, just as it's getting quiet, there's a sudden, loud commotion. It startles Kai. Curious and cautious, he stands pressed against the door, wondering, why is it so noisy this late at night? Soon after, Kai decides to step out. Many people are standing in the hall looking focused and worried about something. As soon as he walks up, Kai quickly asks, "What's going on?" Carrie turns around and replies, "Shinju-kun, it's Kanzaki-san. He's disappeared." She briefly explains what happened. Oniasan was the first to notice since they shared a room. Everyone is out looking for him. No one knows where he went. Kai sighs inwardly, feeling a bit down. They don't know that I just disappeared too. Well, I don't share a room with anyone anyway. Out loud, Kai nods in response. That's worrying. Midu steps forward, his face serious, with a question. "Do you know anything?" Kai answers honestly, "No, sorry, I don't know anything. I was just sleeping in my room." Midu mumbles, rubbing his chin in thought. The situation is getting tense. Midu announces loudly, "Everyone, listen up! I'm pretty sure he's not in the castle. The sun is going to be up soon. Let's go out and find him!" With her enthusiasm, Rina objects a little, though she means no harm. "Honestly, I think we should just leave him be. But I guess we have to follow Suji's advice." Kai was lost in thought, analyzing the current situation. The town was quite dark. Everyone was likely asleep, and the night sky was illuminated only by the soft moonlight. Kai is on a scouting mission, eyes darting through every corner of the street. He presses his lips together. Despite the anxiety, he keeps reassuring himself. He has to be around here somewhere. As he continues, he suddenly spots a card lying abandoned on the ground. Kai moves in, picks it up, and feels a wave of confusion. It's Kanzaki's student ID. The situation takes a sharp turn as a mysterious figure emerges from a small alleyway. Not just one, but 4 strangers appear, drawing their swords to attack Kai at once. A blade flashes through the air, creating a streak of light. But fortunately, Kai's reflexes are sharp, and he stays perfectly composed. His eyes, however, have turned ice cold. Kai fires a harsh, cutting remark straight at the man in front of him. "You damn piece of trash!" In a blink, Kai grabs the man's wrist, uses his own body as a weapon, and plunges the guy's own blade into his comrade's neck. The last man shrieks in terror, "Damn it!" Kai doesn't waste time. He lunges forward and delivers a kick that sends the guy coughing up blood, sprawling to the ground, unable to fight back. He feels his veins pulsing and throbbing with adrenaline. Watching Kai's decisive strikes, the last remaining member of the group starts backing away in pure fear. Kai coolly remarks, "Your skills are pathetic, whether you're a spy or a warrior." He then demands, "Besides, you look like an average guy. What's your purpose here?" The man is stunned, his mouth hanging open. He can only stutter, "Huh?" Kai glares at him, his face radiating a menacing aura. "You're going to tell me everything." Inside a dark dungeon, lit only by a flickering torch, Jin is being held prisoner. Her arms are shackled to 2 iron pillars, her body covered in cuts and bruises. Even in this harsh situation, Jin refuses to give in. She even sneers at the guards who gather to mock her. She's terrifying. That woman is vicious. Jin can't hold back her anger. She shows her resolve with a fierce shout, "My answer remains the same." "I have nothing to say to you people." The guards laugh it off. "Come on now. We're just trying to learn a little more about the hero candidates, that's all." "All right then." One man draws his fingers in, his palm directed right at Jin. Their vile, disgusting nature is truly beyond measure. With no shred of humanity, the man tears the front of Jin's clothes. She grits her teeth through their mocking laughter. "How much longer are you going to run your mouth?" Little do they know, while they were busy harassing Jin, none of them noticed Kai's presence. He has been silently tracking them, deducing that they are just ordinary people. Age 20, gender, male, ATK, FDEF, FS, PD, DEND, FENG, F, condition, aggressive, skills, none. Race, human, age 20, gender, male, ATK, DEF, F, SPD, F, and DENG, F, condition, aggressive, skills, none. It's hard to believe Kanzaki was captured by the likes of them. Suddenly, small knives come flying out of nowhere. Whoosh! They pin the men through the head, one by one. Their laughter dies instantly, and their lives vanish at that very moment. Both men collapse at once, leaving Jin bewildered. Blood pools, staining the cold floor. Kai's gentle, soft voice rings out right afterward. "Are you okay, Jin?" Jin is confused, not knowing what to say. "I'm sorry. Kai signals for her to be quiet, whispering, "Don't make a sound. We'll talk later. We need to escape first." Once freed from the heavy chains, Jin rubs her exhausted wrists and tells Kai, "Thank you." But at that exact moment, Kai suddenly feels danger approaching. Every hair on his body stands on end, panic flashing in his eyes. Kai instinctively steps in front of Jin. He furrows his brow, staring tensely into the emptiness. From the deep shadows ahead, a faint noise emerges. A hazy smoke disperses in the air, forcing everyone to be on high alert. A figure charges at them, but Kai directly steps up to protect Jin. The massive figure slams a giant blade into the ground, cracking the earth. Kai quickly scoops up Jin and gets her out of the danger zone. The blade is lifted heavily, accompanied by the question, "So, you managed to dodge that, huh?" Venus welcomes the two with a grand spectacle and an indifferent smile. "I suppose I really do have to kill you two. My dear hero candidates?" Kai raises an eyebrow, fishing for information. "Did you come under the orders of Sir Venus, the Holy Knight?" The man instantly shifts his expression. His face fills with rage and malice. "Exactly. Though perhaps you'd prefer this name better. General of the Demon King's army." Kai calmly assesses the situation. It seems even the capital is surrounded by enemy forces. This kingdom is nearing its end. Renus bares his teeth in an excited grin. "I'll end it faster by finishing off the hero candidates." Both are wary of each other. Neither makes the first move, though Janus's steps are more impatient. He leans forward, waiting for an opportunity. Kai's pupils turn more restless than usual. They glow red, letting his inner anger flare. He carefully reads the opponent's stats. Janus Walter, age 28, gender male, ATK, B, DEF, B, AGIL, B, EN, D, B, ENG, B, condition, normal, skills, swordplay. Level 3, Fire Magic Level 3. Kai thinks to himself, very cautious, reminding himself, all of his skills are ranked at a B. That proves he's well-rounded. I shouldn't underestimate him. Venus loses patience. Kai steals his nerves and initiates the charge, shouting to build his momentum. "Let's go!" Venus lifts his body along with the sword in his hand, lunging forward and swinging a decisive strike. Kai manages to dodge this lethal blow. Because of that, he accidentally fuels the anger inside Venus even more. He waves his hand, creating a small magic circle in his palm. "Obey me and burn to a crisp. Fireball!" Orbs of fire appear, turning the space into a blazing orange-red. They attack Kai, burning part of his clothes, but Kai remains unscathed. He presses his lips together, lightly gliding past each orb, probing the fire magic. Venus boasts smugly, "You're in midair. There's nowhere for you to hide." Kai continues using his old tactic, throwing a small dagger toward his opponent. Venus laughs with disdain, mocking, "Useless." Consumed by flames, seeing the area around him scorched, Venus arrogantly assumed he had won. He declared, "It's over, hero candidate." Luckily, Kai was completely unharmed. He pulled out his gun and fired a single shot. The bullet flew in a straight line, striking Janus right between the eyes while he watched in shock. Zeno's arrogance had finally reached its end. He collapsed to the floor with his eyes rolled back, showing only the whites. As for Kai, he was already used to this kind of scene, so he showed no emotion. He stared at the gun and clicked his tongue. Then, he gently tucked it back into his jacket pocket and muttered, "I didn't intend to use it in this situation, because my ammo is limited." Kai then looked at the lifeless Venus, lying in a pool of bright red blood. But he was right. I shouldn't have jumped into the open like that. I have to learn how to fight enemies head-on if I want to survive in this world. Jin, whom he had told to hide behind a door, slowly peeked her head out once things went quiet and asked, "Was that a gun?" Kai replied in a completely calm tone, "It's standard equipment for an assassin." Jin started in fear, hugging herself and exclaiming, "It's so scary knowing someone in our class carries a gun." All this time, too. She suddenly blushed, feeling embarrassed, and continued, "But thank you. You came to save me, right?" Unexpectedly, Kai replied bluntly, as if to slap her in the face. "It was just a coincidence. Besides, can't you use your dominator power?" She was also puzzled by this. "I don't know why, but I can't use it. I can't use magic when I'm locked in these handcuffs. But now it's okay." Kai leaned down to pick up a cloak and thought to himself, "So these shackles are quite special." He quickly draped it over her to cover Jin's torn clothes, and told her, "That's good then. Let's get out of here." Jin brushed aside her embarrassment and said loudly, "Shinju-kun, those people from earlier, they wanted to attack everyone in our class." Kai walked ahead, but still answered her. "I know, I heard it too. A man I captured before coming here told me everything." The assassin back then had screamed, begging, "Please, don't kill me." Kai ran his fingertips lightly over the razor-sharp blade. "That depends on you." The man scrambled on the ground, looking up with pitiful eyes. "We were just following orders. They said the hero candidates are enemies of the Demon Lord, and we have to kill them." He stepped forward, gripping the knife handle tightly, and aimed the tip toward the man. "So, did you kill Kanzaki too?" The man rattled off frantically. "That girl is still alive. We decided to keep her as a hostage to attack the other hero candidates." On the deserted road at the break of dawn, Kai told Jin everything while they walked. The surprising part was, he wasn't killed by the curse of death like Teddy. That's why I don't think this is the Demon Lord's doing. Jin felt uneasy deep down and expressed, "So they are fanatics? I can't believe it. I thought people in this world were our allies." Kai sighed and reminded Jin, "Don't be fooled by people like that. You're the one who wasn't careful, which is why you got handcuffed, right?" Jin angrily retorted, "Shut up! They answered all of my questions when I tried to find out more, you know." Kai continued to ask, "Then don't you think there's a reason for that? The demons are our enemies, but humans can be our enemies too." Jin helplessly admitted, though her tone was still feisty, "I regret it, okay? Is that enough? It's because I was too careless." The two were standing together when someone from behind shouted, "Shinju-kun! Kanzaki-san!" Seeing a familiar figure running toward them, Jin exclaimed, "Midu!" She appeared with a radiant, relieved smile. Midu approached, heaving a sigh of relief. "Thank God you're okay." Jin replied, slightly shy, Sorry for making you worry." Midu smiled happily. "I'm just glad you're safe." "Did Shinju-kun find you?" Kai suddenly tensed and suggested, "About that." "Midu, we need to talk." Midu also sensed the tension and followed up, "Something happened, didn't it? I was right, wasn't I?" A conversation was opened with a question about the Demon Lord's cult. Kai crossed his arms and began to relay the information he had gathered from the events of the night before. "Yes, that's a group of people who worship the Demon Lord and want to oppose humanity, and we are their targets." Midu didn't need Kai to spell it out. She understood for herself. Humans. So the problem is, we can't tell who our enemies are, unlike with those Kai monsters. Kai nodded in total agreement, adding, "I think we should tell everyone to be on high alert." Midu agreed without a second thought. "Fine. We should report this to Leonorison. I just hope she'll step up the security." But Jin had other thoughts, closing her eyes with a bored look. "If we ask her to do that, she'll probably just tell us to handle it ourselves." Midu gave a wry smile, but didn't argue. Fair point. He then toughened his tone, mapping out the immediate tasks. "First, let's get everyone together and decide on our next moves." Currently, everyone was scattered, searching for Kanzaki-san, when suddenly, a loud noise erupted nearby. Startled and terrified, Jin let out a scream, while Midu and Kai turned around to see a plume of black smoke rising from behind the house. Footsteps rushed toward where the three of them were standing. They caught sight of flickering red cloaks. It seemed they were meeting old acquaintances. This time, these guys had come well prepared. They arrived in a large group, weapons at the ready, surrounding the three of them with sinister glares and wicked smirks. Some held swords, some held spears, while others tightened their grips on daggers, each of them harboring malicious intent. Midu, confused, guessed that this was exactly what they had been waiting for. Ready to fight off these dangerous, wicked intruders. The sky was blanketed in dark clouds, the surroundings turning a gloomy, dull gray. Jin, Midu, and Kai focused their spirits, preparing to face them. The other heroes stepped forward as well. "They're warriors!" one of the villains shouted. "Attack!" The others obeyed, rushing in all at once. Kai growled, calling out to his teammate standing beside Kanzaki. "So what? They're still our enemies." Midu kept protesting, determined, but Kai cut him off immediately. "Enough talk. There's still one more." Kai narrowed his eyes and alerted his two friends. "They're here." Although everyone was unsettled, no one was scared enough to run. Among the girls, Rina had the most attitude. She wasn't panicking or confused, just standing there with her hands on her hips, looking fierce. Meanwhile, a red-haired boy scanned the area, clenching his fists. Information windows began to pop up. Race, human, age, 20, gender, male, attack, D, defense, D, agility, D, stamina, F, energy, F, hostile status, 4, skill, none, race, human, age, 20, gender, male, attack, D, defense, D, agility, D, stamina, F, energy, F, hostile status, none. Kai narrowed his focus. There were 6 of them. Even though their stats were lower than Zenith's, fighting them was still going to be a problem. She didn't wait for his instructions, immediately creating a wave of sound. "I know!" Stopped by Jin's special magic, those wicked men couldn't move a muscle anymore. Kai took the opportunity to swiftly launch several daggers forward. His movements formed an arc that swept through the space, each one hitting a target with a painful finish before they could even react. They only managed a single scream before going silent. Even Midu, his friend, was shocked by how ruthlessly he wiped them out without showing any mercy. He could only stammer, "Kai, Shinju-kun, they're humans, not monsters." Kai replied indifferently, his tone cold, his eyes icy. This was the leader who had ordered the group to attack earlier. He was sneaking up behind Midu. It was only then that Midu realized with a start. Luckily, he managed to defend himself just in time. But shocked, he couldn't help but curse, "Damn it!" He didn't want to fight back. Instead, he tried, and to convince the opponent with his humanity. "Why are you doing this? We're all human, aren't we?" The response was a smug grin. "We do everything for our master." The man and Midu, one attacking, one defending, were both trying to overwhelm each other. In the meantime, Jin slowly aimed her palm toward the two, but Kai stepped in to stop her. Jin was a bit surprised and whispered, "Shinju-kun?" He flatly demanded, "Don't do anything. I want Midu to handle this." The man swung his blade, which whistled through the air, and he had to jerk the remaining sword back. Midu had gained the upper hand. His masterful strike shattered the blade in the man's hand. Left holding only the hilt, the man looked stunned. Midu didn't hesitate like he did before. "If you surrender, I'll spare your life. Drop the sword." Not only did he refuse to give up, but he also roared, "You dare mock me, you damn hero candidate!" Suddenly, he lunged forward, catching Midu off guard. A spurt of red blood sprayed out. Midu's arm had been wounded by the broken sword. Seeing the pain he had inflicted, the man laughed excitedly, while Midu gritted his teeth and endured it. "Damn it!" He stopped holding back. He swung his blade down in one swift motion, carving a deep, long wound into the man's body. The smug, sinister grin. But suddenly, Midu looked at him with suspicion. The guy was persistent. He was still laughing, jeering. It's not over yet. Still afraid that Midu would let his own mercy make him hesitate, Kai stepped forward and ordered, "Finish him, Midu." But Midu really couldn't bring himself to do it. "Can I just leave him here to die?" Kai looked at him and said softly, "No. You have to be sure the threat is neutralized." Midu was shocked by his friend's coldness. "How can you be so calm?" "He's human, just like us." Kai gently reminded him, "Midu, that's your choice. While we're standing here chatting, the whole class is being attacked." Seeing Midu hesitate, Kai dropped the clincher. "Aren't you going to help the others?" "So you're the strongest one in our class, huh?" Whispering with a heavy tone, Kai continued, "No matter what, listen to me, Midu. What's more important, the lives of your enemies or the lives of your classmates?" Finally, Midu gave in and followed Kai's advice. "Fine." A spray of blood spurted out. That alone was enough to show how decisive Midu had become this time. She turned back and told Kai, "I'll go save everyone." In the sparsely populated alley, before the sun had even risen, bodies were already lying limp across the ground after a thorough inspection. Strict and ruthless, the red-haired boy with the ponytail gripped one guy's neck and muttered, "Looks like you're the last one." The guy's face was turning purple. Drool poured from his mouth, but no scream could escape his throat. In contrast, the red-haired boy was grinning ear to ear, his hand tightening with every passing second. "Die!" Finally. That guy wasn't just choked to death. He was blown to pieces. Even in his final moments, he had to endure being torn apart limb from limb. His corpse was charred black, yet his eyes were still rolled back, wide open. The other students couldn't help but feel terrified. Too cruel. That's our Arashi-san, all right? Elsewhere, another hero glided gently past the hooded cultists. This was Rina. Her demeanor was graceful, but her attacks didn't miss a single target. She shouted, "Fireball!" 2 or 3 of them were swallowed by the sea of flames at once. Patches of skin burned away relentlessly, but fighting for so long had started to wear Rina out. She groaned, "Why are there so many of them?" Rina turned to ask Yumi, "What are the others doing? You guys can still fight, right?" "Take them down, one by one." Just like Midu earlier, both Yumi and Kari couldn't bring themselves to do it. After all, they were human too. Rina, however, was as cold and logical as Kai. Facing her friend's pointless weakness, she was forced to shout a warning. "Do you guys want to die?" Just as she warned, a thug kicked Kari straight in the back, making her wince in pain. Yumi was also struck by another attacker and let out a scream. Rina stood frozen, wondering with a look of pure confusion. Why did Leonore appear in the middle of this chaos with a peaceful yet cryptic smile? Should I even let you all pass the exam? The scene was utter bedlam. Some were injured, others were charging in. No one knew when it would end. Then, suddenly, Leonora appeared out of nowhere amidst the chaotic scene. She just calmly said, "My, should I even let you all pass the exam?" Hearing that, the whole group turned around with looks of utter shock. Then one guy lost control and screamed, "You bastard, you're the saintess!" Leonora replied nonchalantly, "Indeed. And you know, the hero candidates are my subordinates, so it's only natural that I'd come to help when they're in danger, right?" Right after that, they started shifting their focus toward her. One guy in the group asked, "You didn't even bring any knights to guard you? And you're going to save them? Do you take us for a joke?" She coldly explained, "In the end, you're just a bunch of pawns lured by the Demon King's power. I didn't even consider you enemies from the start." As if Leonora had struck a nerve, he lost control and shouted, "Kill her! Shut that bitch up!" Immediately they swarmed her. She was nearly surrounded from every side, but strangely, Leonora didn't even plan to counterattack. She just smiled. Then she whispered, "Summoning power. Bros chat." She didn't need a single weapon to take them down. As if frozen, they dropped instantly. In an instant, the ones closing in on her were down. One guy collapsed nearby. He realized he couldn't control his own body and gasped, I can't move!" The other guy gritted his teeth. No way! The students standing there, most of them knew exactly how this was playing out. Then Rina realized, that's Kanzaki. Leonora slowly stepped closer to the guy. He was trying his best to resist, but she spoke up. Please, don't compare my power to that. Leonora unleashed her strength, sending the whole group flying into the air. She just said calmly, my range and sovereign power are superior in every way. At that moment, Rina stepped forward to ask, why did you save us? But she only smiled and replied, I already mentioned letting you all pass the exam, didn't I? Besides, I'd still be more satisfied if you all handled this yourselves. Hearing this, Rina stopped overthinking and said, I see. I suppose I should thank you. Leonora continued, no need for thanks. Protecting my subordinates is my duty. Just as she was about to leave, the guy on the ground pleaded, wait! He used every last bit of strength to beg, hoping she would show mercy. Don't abandon us. What are you going to do with us? Leonora didn't want to beat around the bush, so she just said, my apologies. You're still alive? Then, a second later, she coldly ordered the students, in that case, everyone, kill them all. Carrie exclaimed at the strangeness of it. Huh? Even Yumi said, my body. It's moving on its own. And instantly, the students were trembling in fear at the sudden movement. They couldn't even keep a firm grip on their knives. At that moment, the sword in Carrie's hand flew straight toward the guy lying on the ground, as if someone were controlling it. She panicked. Wait! Stop! Seeing this, he pleaded, please don't! But how could Carrie possibly control it? No matter how hard she tried to force it, she couldn't stop it. Carrie could only shout out in helpless, piercing despair, no! And right after that, the sword plunged straight into his body. Blood sprayed everywhere. Kai and Jin witnessed the whole thing from a nearby rooftop. Before his eyes was a scene where, although Leonora didn't directly strike the guy, she had manipulated the students to do it. He observed closely and exclaimed, so, this is Tier 3 domination magic. Jin, standing beside him, agreed and added, it's much more powerful than my own domination ability, isn't it? She can control multiple people at once. Its power and range are on an entirely different level. Hearing this, Kai paused and looked directly at Leonora. The thought flashed through his mind. We need to find a way to counter this ability. Everything ended quickly, and soon it was night. Darkness blanketed most of the surroundings. The students gathered back at the main house. 12 hours had passed since the attack by the Demon Lord's followers. Kai stood silently, observing everyone's every gesture, and his gaze lingered on Reina. Just then, Hashimoto walked over to where Reina was standing and asked, how are you? Is everyone okay? Her face couldn't hide the shock. Reina answered honestly, they're in a really bad state. Everyone is truly traumatized. Hearing this, Hashimoto agreed. Yeah. Narumi, standing nearby, added angrily, I won't let her get away with this. Controlling others and forcing them to kill. That's just cruel. Then he turned to Reina and asked, you were controlled too, right? Reina, are you okay? She stammered. I just feel terrible. I'm sure it's much harder for the others. After that, she took all the blame upon herself. This is my fault. Even Midu looked regretful. He bowed his head. I didn't manage to do it in time. Seeing this, the other students comforted him. Don't say that. You saved us. Midu, the boy in the red shirt, agreed. Yeah, don't blame yourself. Even Jin was filled with regret. If only we had arrived sooner. Hearing that, Kai cut in. It wouldn't have made a difference. None of us were strong enough to stand against Leonora. He thought to himself, actually we had split into 2 groups before. After defeating the attackers with Midu, we tried to save as many students as we could. But in the end, we only managed to save a few groups. But we couldn't get there in time to save Nagas and the others. He thought cautiously, the Demon Lord's cult. I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll see them. However, seeing their General Zenith get wiped out, they probably won't act for a while. Plus, there's something more important to focus on right now. He turned and called for Jin Kanzaki, then turned his back. Kai continued, "Can you come with me for a moment?" Jin didn't think twice and quickly followed him. She replied, "Sure." But suddenly, he led her into a room and locked the door. Jin felt a bit shy and turned to ask, "What are you planning to do?" While Jin stood there, bewildered and unsure, Kai turned away and replied, "To find a way to counter Leonora's domination magic. I want help from someone who has the same power as her. Someone like you." She blushed and answered, "I understand. That's fine, I guess." Then Jin asked, "So, do you have a plan yet?" He quickly replied, "Yeah, I have an idea." He then turned and said bluntly to her, "Kanzaki, first, dominate me. What is going on?" It seemed her brain couldn't process the information. She looked blankly. "Huh?" A day after we defeated the Demon Lord's cult, the kingdom held a huge parade to celebrate the summoning of the hero candidates through the streets. Everywhere was celebrating, joining in the lively atmosphere. This showed that after the hero candidates displayed their strength in the fight against the cult, they were welcomed with open arms by the citizens of the royal capital. Everywhere they went, the people cheered for them. Only Arisi was very calm. He slowly observed the expressions of those around him. Amidst everyone's excitement, Kai watched with great caution. A thought flashed through his mind. This seems suspicious. Is this a scenario Leonora has already mapped out for us? He looked at Leonora amidst the bustling parade crowd. Kai thought, if that's really the case, then she's more dangerous than I thought. The scene at this moment was truly magnificent. As they earnestly welcomed the students who had completed their assigned tasks excellently, standing before the city gate were soldiers under Leonora's command, and her knights and guards, Gaios. Standing before them were 15 students in a straight line. Then Leonora smiled and said, "It seems everyone is here. Very good. I want all of you to return to Alpha Temple." Hearing that, Jin asked back, "Alpha Temple?" Kai then calmly explained, "That's the name of the temple where we were summoned to. I think that's territory under Leonora's jurisdiction." Then Midu asked curiously, "Leonora, you're not coming with us?" Leonora heard this and replied cheerfully, "I have to resolve some issues related to yesterday's incident. I'll leave you all in Gaios' care." Rina spoke up, "I guess we can head back. The dorm we used to live in burned down, you know that?" The girl beside her replied with a smile, "Yeah, it's pretty funny." But her eyes quickly darted away. Naomi and Carrie didn't seem to be doing well. Carrie was silent, her eyes clouded with confusion, while Naomi's body was trembling as if in pain. Seeing this, Rina stepped forward and asked, "Naomi, are you okay?" Naomi jumped, startled, and stammered, "Oh, sorry, don't worry, I'm fine." Leonora appeared out of nowhere like a gust of wind, then smiled and asked, "Is something wrong?" Nami jumped in surprise and lost her footing. Seeing this, Rina rushed over to catch her, called her name with concern, and asked, "Are you all right?" It seemed no one wanted to engage with Leonora anymore, so she said, "If everything is fine here, I'll take my leave." But Rina, filled with killing intent, shouted her name. Leonora stopped in her tracks. Rina, still supporting Naomi, heard her whisper, "Stop. Stop, Rina." Then she continued, I'm really fine. I'm okay." After hearing what Naomi said, Leonora gave a satisfied smile and turned away. As Leonora approached the door, she remarked, "That's good to hear. See you all next time," she said, brushing past Midu, who looked at her with a sour expression. Kai was also deeply troubled, but Arashi seemed very excited. Immediately after, Gaios gave the order, "All right, let's move out." Night fell quickly. They set up camp, built a fire, and sat around warming themselves, chatting animatedly when suddenly footsteps approached. A group of people was heading deep into the forest, and while Kai was sitting by the fire, he had already noticed their movements. He whispered, "It looks like they're going to do it right now." Jin, sitting next to him, asked, "They wouldn't actually do that, would they?" Kai replied, "Leonora isn't here, and there are only 30 guards left, so they are much weaker compared to us hero candidates." Kai's eyes reflected the burning flames, as did his fierce determination. Kai added coldly. That is exactly why. This is the best opportunity to kill Gaios under these circumstances. There's no reason for me to stop them. I'll just wait and watch the show. Deep in the woods, the weather seemed very cold, so Gaios had put on a cloak. He was following Narumi and asked, "Is it really here?" Then he added, "The monster. Does it look like a dragon or something?" Narumi answered honestly and kept walking. "I'm telling the truth. But things didn't seem to be going smoothly today." His eyes darted around and he muttered, "That's strange. I definitely saw it somewhere around here." Gaios calmly replied, "This area lies along the road to the royal capital. It would be extremely dangerous if a real dragon were living here. I must report this immediately and gather a hunting party." But no sooner had he finished speaking than Narumi shouted, having finally spotted it, and pointed quickly in that direction. Narumi said loudly, "Do you think it's over there?" Gaios rushed forward, asking, "Where?" But then Arashi appeared and launched a sneak attack on Gaios from behind. Boom! It was a destructive blast, and the explosion was so loud the air seemed filled with the red glow of fire and smoke. Narumi had quickly escaped using a levitation spell, breathing a sigh of relief. That was close. I almost got caught in that myself. Gaios had been sent flying by the blow and was wounded. His clothes were torn, blood streamed from his head, soaking his shoulder. Enraged, he roared, "You bastards!" Arashi replied, "Not even my highest level fire magic is enough to kill you? You're as persistent as a leech." The whole space seemed to shake, yet he still hadn't taken the old man's life. This frustrated him, but as Gaios retreated, Arashi laughed and declared, "Eliminating persistent bastards is my specialty." He planted his feet firmly on the ground, using all his strength to activate his power. His body surged with energy, holding the initiative. Arashi stepped forward and asked, "You knew we were the ones luring you here, right? Then obviously we set a trap for you." Upon hearing this, Gaios was furious but helpless, as Arashi clenched his fist and asked, "Do you need energy to defend yourself? But that attack still hurt you badly, didn't it?" Gaios scoffed, "I didn't expect you to use such cheap tactics. To ambush me like this. I underestimated you, Arashi." The old man's words excited him. "Thanks, but I just want you dead, so I don't care about tactics." Just then, the brothers who followed Arashi appeared behind Gaios, who stood up, gripping his weapon tightly. Arashi commanded, his face full of resolve, "Move in, guys! Don't hold back. Make sure he dies." But suddenly, Gaios reached into his robe and said, "I guess there's no way to stop you kids," and immediately pulled out a small, spherical object like a marble, which shot straight into the sky. Everyone panicked as the object emitted a bright light. It was a signal flare, and everyone on the team was confused. Midu stared blankly. What was that? Even Jin was stunned by the sight. Then, the beam of light rained down like fireworks. Kai, standing below, looked at the flares in the sky. He said with disappointment, "Damn it, Arashi! You ruined everything!" The signal flare kept shining in the sky, and on the ground, the soldiers quickly spotted it. One pointed up and told his comrade, "Is that a distress signal?" They were taken aback and began looking around, checking to see who was missing. After checking the area, one of them said, "Now that I think about it, I haven't seen Lord Gaios for a while." The guy quickly replied, asking if perhaps he was being attacked by someone. Not wanting to waste any more time, the soldier ordered his men to quickly check the source of the light, which would also be his final words. Before he even finished, he was taken out on the spot by someone. That someone was Kai. He moved with lightning speed, and the others immediately braced themselves. Kai closed in on one of them and held a knife to his throat. It made the guy uneasy, but he didn't fight back. Once again, Kai raised his sharp blade and said, "It's not like I hate you or anything, but you have to die." Kai then finished him off, just like the one before. He then quickly turned his back and walked away. Seeing their comrades being taken down one after another, one guy couldn't hold back and shouted, "You bastard!" He swung his sword straight at him, but fortunately, Kai dodged it. Taking advantage of the guy being off guard, Kai used his knife to send him to his maker. Kai's eyes were cold. He sheathed his blade as the guy collapsed, leaving his comrades standing there in utter shock. But another guy didn't try to help him. Instead, he held his sword horizontally to create a push force, bracing himself. He hurriedly pointed his blade toward Kai, but Kai quickly slashed him once. It left him in pain. At this moment, he didn't just have one knife. He had two, one in each hand, and any guy who charged at him, Kai would finish off. A terrified soldier asked why a hero candidate would do such a thing. Then he said, "Do you honestly think you have time to be asking questions?" The next moment, blood splattered everywhere. On the other side, the group was forming a circle to surround Gaius. Asushi charged in first with his fists, along with Kenta, who rushed forward wielding two swords. Thinking Gaius couldn't handle it, he used one hand to block Asushi's punch, and with the other, he used his sword to parry Kenta. But there were more than just those two. And at that exact moment, Narumi summoned his power. A spear made of pure energy appeared, and he yelled, "Storm Spear!" before launching it toward him. Akira thought to himself, "Giving power to my teammates," then shouted, "Power Boost!" Two beams of blue and red light converged, attacking Gaius together. His senses were sharp, and his reflexes were incredibly fast, so Gaius managed to spot it in time and successfully dodged. Before he could recover, Kao teamed up to attack from right behind him. But once again, the old man managed to dodge. Not only that, he even scoffed, "Too slow." At that moment, he was a little taken aback. He just saw Kao, his hand equipped with sharp armor, smiling smugly and saying, "It's useless," because Kao had used his Steel Body Guardian ability, causing the old man's sword to crack and break. He quickly retreated to gain distance, shouting, "These damn Guardian things!" Next, he widened his eyes to observe who would be the next to counterattack, and this time it was Arashi. He curled his hand and lunged straight at him. A storm of fire and wind rushed toward him. He could only use his nearly broken sword to defend. He was losing strength, sliding backward. He could only let out a groan before his sword struck the ground. His body was covered in blood, and worse, he had lost an arm, but he still refused to surrender. Arashi looked at this sight and lamented, "Old man, you're really stubborn, aren't you?" At this moment, Narumi spoke up. "I just realized what that light was. It looks like a distress signal. He's trying to stall for time." But he replied, No, that's not necessary anymore." Leonora appeared with a smile and said, "You're backed into a corner, aren't you, Gaius?" The group was surprised to see her, as the soldiers from earlier had already been tied up. Midu asked, "What are you doing, Kanzaki?" She had used her techniques to force the soldiers to tie each other up. Hearing the question, she simply replied, "I'm just following orders." Midu asked back, confused, "Orders?" Rina was also puzzled and said, "I didn't expect this. Usually you'd ignore what others say." Just then, Kai stepped in to explain, "I'm sorry, Midu, she's just following my orders." Seeing Kai, Midu called out, "Shinju-kun." Jin spoke up, "I've captured 7 of them, even though a few managed to escape." Kai reassured him, "Don't worry, I've taken care of the rest of them." Midu was even more confused and instinctively blurted out, "Taken care of?" Then he stepped forward and asked, "Shinju-kun? Wait, you—" Kai immediately admitted, "That's right, I killed them! I didn't let any soldiers live except for the ones here." Hearing that, Jin remarked, "You're still as ruthless as ever, aren't you?" Midu also chimed in, "And why would you do that?" Kai explained, "Because I was sure Arashi and his group were busy fighting Gaias, so I thought I'd handle all these pests myself." Only then did Midu realize it. He bowed his head and said, "So that's why I didn't see Arashi and his group anywhere." Rina turned and asked, "Is this the rebellion plan you guys discussed last time? Are you serious?" Kai didn't want to explain much. He pointed forward and said, "What's the point of that question? Those soldiers tied up over there have already given you the answer." Kai's actions left Midu very disappointed. He said, "Are you really working with Arashi?" "Shinju-kun, I thought you were my comrade." Kai, who never liked to argue, just denied it. "No, I just do what I like." Then Kai continued, "And more importantly, Midu. Don't you think it would be better if you went to find Arashi instead of bothering me?" Midu finally realized it and said, "Damn it, I guess there's no time for small talk, is there? Midu charged ahead and said to everyone, "Let's go! We have to stop Arashi and his group." Leonora said coldly, "Looks like you've lost, Gaius." Gaius, covered in blood, said disappointedly, "What a shameful sight. I couldn't stand up to my own age." Looking down from above, Narumi asks anxiously, "What do we do now, Arashi?" Arashi frowns and replies coldly, "There's no other choice left after everything that's happened. Do you want me to tuck tail and run?" Asushi looks confused, but Kenta says in fear, "She's the one controlling us, isn't she?" Leonora answers calmly, "Of course. But there are conditions that must be met. If you store up enough energy to fight back, you'll be just fine." She smiles mockingly. "However, since you all rely on your divine guardians and aren't used to controlling your own energy, in a sense, you are all just weaklings. That is why I can control every one of you." Arashi sneers, "You miserable woman! I bet you won't be able to win if we fight with everything we've got." Upon hearing this, her lips curl up. Leonora laughs faintly, her tone full of disdain. "What a cheap provocation. Very well. I will deal with you myself. I'll break those fangs of yours." Gyo shouts in a panic, "Leonora-sama, please don't tell me you're going to use your power to make them your slaves." That's going a bit too far. Leonora closes her eyes slightly and smiles. "Geos, I am a saintess, am I not?" She turns to look at everyone. "God loves me more than them." Immediately, Arashi screams, "Come on then!" Geos quickly steps back with a grunt. Leonora raises her hand and chants, "Heavenly wood!" Roots immediately erupt from the ground, knocking Arashi into the air. He lets out a painful grunt. Before he can regain his senses, she unleashes Heavenly Gale. Arashi takes the attack head-on. A fierce cyclone lashes his body, causing him to cough up blood in mid-air. He staggers as he falls, but luckily Narumi rushes over to catch him, shouting, "Arashi!" Asushi cries out in panic, "Arashi-san!" Leonora continues to cast Heavenly Fire, and a sea of flames erupts, burning everything. Asushi screams in agony. Immediately after, she casts Heavenly Water, forming a water orb. The orb envelops Kenta, making him cry out in confusion. "What the—" He gasps for air, panicking. I can't breathe. "Is someone there? Help!" His cries for help gradually grow weaker. Only when Kenta loses consciousness does Leonora stop. Narumi, standing from above, is stunned and gasps. "Huh?" Leonora looks up with a cold smile. "Are you all finished now?" From a distance, a voice replies, "No, not yet." Arashi bellows in anger, "Do you think you've won, you damn woman?" Just as the words leave his lips, a voice calls out, "Wait!" He sees Midu leading a group of friends as they run over. He looks up and shouts, trying to stop them. "Stop fighting! Arashi, what will this get you?" Arashi scowls and snaps, "Midu, if you want to stop me, use your own power." "I hate your pacifist methods." Midu asks skeptically, "Do you all think like him too?" Narumi replies awkwardly, "I'm sorry, Suji, but I can't trust these people." Rina speaks up from behind. "I agree with Narumi." She asks seriously, "If you're going to do it, wouldn't it be better to let everyone join in? Everyone must take responsibility for starting this rebellion. Did you think I would forgive you just because someone stood up to stop it right now?" Some students become bewildered. Their faces show clear anxiety. Rina stares at Leonora with cold eyes. Midu gasps in shock. "Huh?" Shiori, standing nearby, trembles and stutters. "No way!" He is blown away, dragging the whole group into the chaotic winds. Screams echo everywhere. Midu grinds her teeth to keep her balance and yells, "Damn it!" Siri falls hard to the ground. The others moan while clutching their heads. "It hurts so much." A student slams his back into a tree trunk, clutching his arm and groaning while looking at his wounded classmates. Midu's face is full of worry. "Everyone!" From behind, "How come you're suddenly so slow? Your wounds have healed, but it seems you haven't fully recovered your strength, huh?" Gaios retorted, "And you've reached the level where you can't even use divine protection anymore, have you?" Overwhelmed by deep regret, he fell to his knees. It was a heavy burden borne entirely of his own choices. The monsters had no choice but to completely submit to the command, their forms crumbling into nothingness. The others followed suit, dissolving until only silence remained. Once the clearing was still, she stared at the scene in absolute shock. Kai asked her, "So, you can actually issue those kinds of commands?" He fell to his knees, completely defeated. Kai grabbed him firmly by the collar, leaning in close. "Keep your voice down. We don't want Midu and the others to notice you." Then he added, "I'm going to ask you a few things." This leaves them stunned and open-mouthed. "What?" Arashi rushes forward in anger. "Are you out of your mind? Do you want a piece of me?" However, he is stopped by Midu. "Calm down!" he shouts. Was cut short the moment Midu sealed his fate. A second later, Kai closed the distance, the cold glint of his blade serving as a silent, absolute warning. Hearing this, Midu hangs her head in disappointment. "I understand." Miri, hearing this, angrily criticizes Reina. "Even you think using violence to solve problems is wrong?" Midu stammers, Leonora narrows her eyes, annoyed. "In this situation, you are all still arguing?" Her eyes flash with a cold golden light at that moment. Leonora suddenly casts a spell and shouts, "Heavenly Gale! Blow them away!" Narumi does not hesitate to counterattack. "I won't let you do that!" He creates a counter-cyclone. The two gusts of wind collide, shaking the ground and sky. Everyone around rushes back to avoid the wild winds erupting. Narumi starts to lose his footing and struggles to cry out, "It's pushing me down!" Immediately after, Arashi, covered in blood, walks over to reassure them. "Stay calm, Midu. No one is dead." He yells in a stern voice, "If you want to protect everyone, you have to change yourself first. Everyone will die if you keep going like this." Midu grits her teeth and draws her sword. "Damn it! There's no other way!" Just then, a voice speaks up from behind. "Exactly." Rina joins in excitedly, her hand gathering a fireball as she says, "Even I can't keep my cool anymore." Mireille slowly adds, "Although I don't like doing this." But it seems this is the only choice. The students step forward one by one to confront Leonora and Gios. On the other side, she laughs mockingly. "Let me show you the difference between us." Far away, Jin looks at Kai and asks anxiously, "What do we do now?" He stands silently under the shadow of the tree for a long time before speaking. "Once she uses magic to enslave them, I will step in. Until then, let's trust them." Both sides stand in confrontation, the air thick with tension. From behind, Gios speaks up. "Leonora-sama." He steps forward, sword in hand, shielding her as he speaks. "I may not have much power, but I am still your knight," Leonora said, reaching her hand out toward him. A soft, pale blue light spread gently. "I will help you heal your wounds." Healing magic washed over Gios, and his wounds quickly knit back together. His arm and forehead also gradually recovered. He gripped his sword hilt, his gaze fixed firmly on his opponent. Midu's team immediately shifted into a defensive stance. Narumi blurted out in frustration, "Damn it! We went through all of this just to take you down." But Rina reassured them. "We're strong too. We can beat them." Leonora smiled calmly and said, "You are all free to try whenever you like. For me, this battle is just a test for you all," she continued placidly. "But of course, if you can't defeat me, you can't become heroes." Midu suddenly lunged forward, shouting, "Let's go, everyone! Cover me!" He swung his sword at Gios, but the man immediately raised his blade to block. In that exact moment, Midu's sword pierced right through his opponent's blade. Seeing the scene unfolding before him, Gios had a look of sheer disbelief on his face. "This sword!" Sensing danger, he hurriedly vaulted backward. Gios stared intently, thinking to himself, "This kid, he was able to cut through my sword so easily." Leonora waved her hand, casting an ice spell while whispering a chant. The ice shifted, sharpening into something like a knife, piercing its target. A second later, A barrage of ice spikes appeared. They launched like rain, stabbing toward Midu. Rina reacted just in time, screaming, "Flame! Melt!" Fire flared up, quickly scattering the ice projectiles. Leonora's face darkened with a hint of disappointment. "Is that really all you can do?" No sooner had she finished speaking than she unleashed another series of sharp ice needles. Midu raised his sword to block, but one spike grazed his face, leaving a long cut. "Damn it!" Narumi screamed from behind. "Midu!" Mirai gathered her strength, lifting a boulder off the ground and sending it flying. She yelled loudly, "What do you think you're doing to our leader, huh?" Narumi silently activated her wind control power, unleashing a powerful slashing gale. Coordinating with Mirai's strength, the two launched their attacks simultaneously, their eyes cold and filled with killing intent aimed straight at Leonora. Just as the attacks were about to hit, a transparent barrier suddenly enveloped her. The impact bounced them back, and rubble rained down, rendering their strength completely ineffective. Both of them froze, eyes wide and mouths agape. Unable to believe her eyes, Leonora offered a slow smile. "I am protected and loved by God, so those divine guard skills won't affect me." Far away, Kai, hiding behind a tree, muttered to himself, "Is that her holy skill?" Name, Leonora Degaris. Age, 18. Gender, female. Attack, A. Defense, D. Agility, D. Endurance, E. Mana, S. Current status, normal. Skills. Summoning skill, level 5. Holy protection, level 5. All attribute skills, level 4. Support skills, level 3. He hung his head, silently analyzing. Even though her defense stat is relatively low, but from the very beginning she hasn't even needed to use it. A physical attack could pierce her defenses, but Gaios will block my path. On the other side, Arashi was engaged with Gaios. He landed a heavy kick on the man. Gaios blocked with his hand and asked, "You're choosing kicks instead of using your explosive blasts? Are you tired?" Arashi smirked. "It's just that I don't need to use that to deal with you." Arashi shouted an order. "Midu! I'll handle him. You take down that woman." Midu replied firmly, "Got it." But deep down, he still felt a sliver of hesitation. Without divine protection, this sword wouldn't pierce her. He pointed his sword toward Leonora, feeling conflicted. Just then, someone tossed him a new sword and yelled, "Midu-san! Use this!" The person who threw it was Haiki. He caught it and replied, "Thanks." Leonora watched him with amusement. "I think there's something very interesting here. Midu, are you finally ready to fight?" Midu's gaze grew resolute as he said, "I know there are people who put their faith in me. So I have to defeat you, Leonora-san." As he finished his sentence, he charged forward. Leonora calmly fired shuriken at him. He ran and dodged, swinging his sword to deflect each one. Behind them, Rina said anxiously, "If divine protection doesn't work, we can't help him in this fight." Narumi nodded. "Because they're too close, we can't help Arashi either." Mira grumbled, "This is so annoying, but we have no choice. Other than standing still and watching, we'd only be a burden if we joined the fight right now." On the other side, Gaios continued his assault on Arashi. He swung his sword. Arashi immediately ducked to dodge. He quickly crouched low, delivered a punch straight to his face, and followed up with a powerful kick toward Gaios. Gaios was stunned, blurting out, "What?" Not stopping, Arashi shouted, "Take this!" Then he landed another punch, sending Gaios flying backward. Arashi mocked him coldly. "What's the matter?" The battle between Midu and Leonora continued tensely. She summoned fireballs and hurled them at him. Midu dodged, but seeing that he was only falling back, he thought to himself, "It's useless. If this keeps up, she's going to crush me from that distance." He gritted his teeth, promising himself, "There must be a way for me to beat you, Leonora-san." The two stood facing each other amidst the chaotic battlefield. Leonora kept her fake smile as she said, "Just as I expected. Midu-san, I'm pretty sure not many people in this country, can dodge my attacks like that? Midu didn't answer. His eyes turned icy, thinking to himself, no matter how much I try to dodge her attacks. At this distance, this is just a one-sided battle after all. I have to find a way to defeat her from this far away. Or, I've got to find a way to get closer. I glanced quickly at my teammates, my eyes darting with calculation, knowing our guardian deity is useless here, and none of them can help me. Furthermore, long-range attacks are Leonora's specialty. As her aura flared up intensely, Midu steeled himself, thinking, I have no other choice. I have to get close to her by force. I have to be even faster than before. Leonora was slightly startled. She felt a powerful surge of energy from Midu. Without hesitation, Midu charged forward, channeling the power of the wind. He raised his hand to summon wind spears. Whistling through the air, the spears launched in a relentless barrage like a storm. Midu lunged forward like a lightning bolt, tearing through the air in an instant. Leonora quickly slammed her hand onto the ground, pouring all her strength into it as she shouted. As he charged in, Midu suddenly stopped. It felt as if something had grabbed his feet, and he panicked in confusion. His face clearly showed extreme bewilderment. She didn't stop, continuing to cast fire magic. A second later, a flame erupted in her hand, and Leonora launched it toward Midu. The flames engulfed him, burning him and causing him to writhe in agony. Rena screamed in a panic, "Midu!" Leonora breathed softly, silently judging. Up until this very moment, he's been trying to concentrate all the power in his body, and now he wants to use it all at once to attack me. Truly, a terrifying talent. Midu lay motionless, covered in blood. Leonora couldn't hide her smug expression as she whispered, "However, even now, I'm still better than you." On the other side, Arashi was still facing off against Gaios. He was feeling a bit anxious, thinking to himself, I can't use my punches anymore. How can I possibly defeat him? Gaios didn't give him any more time, rushing forward with his sword raised. "Are you hesitating? I can tell just by looking at your face, you brat!" With those words, he swung his sword down, and blood splattered everywhere. Arashi couldn't dodge in time and took the hit, crying out in pain. He gritted his teeth, looking at him with fury, thinking, how did I end up like this? Against an old man like him? Gaios pointed his sword at Arashi's shoulder, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Well, well, you're still just an amateur, aren't you? This is what happens when you can't use your holy guard. Arashi's eyes went blank. Memories of the past came rushing back. This isn't who I am. He clenched his fist, telling himself he didn't need the power of the blast just to show the old man how strong he really was. Arashi took a deep breath and struggled to slowly stand up. Gaios was stunned. How are you still standing? He gritted his teeth, enduring the blade pressing into his skin, his eyes burning with rage. Gaios gasped in horror. What the hell? Arashi clenched his fist and struck back, landing a heavy blow straight to his face. Gaios was caught off guard and sent flying like a kite with a broken string. He collapsed heavily to the ground, blood gushing out like a spring. Arashi stepped forward, his eyes cold as he said, I've beaten you! Damn it! Elsewhere, Midu was still lying motionless on the ground, thinking to himself, it can't end like this. Images of his friends kept flashing in his mind, urging him on. It can't end like this. I have to protect everyone! A surge of power suddenly rose within him. He stood up, his eyes gleaming, thinking, my friends are getting hurt. I don't want to see them like that. Leonora raised an eyebrow, her voice laced with mockery. Well, well. That's impressive. You can still hold on. Midu gripped his sword, his eyes sharp and cold. Bring it on. Leonora laughed contemptuously, replying, no matter how hard you try, you can't get close. Without another word, Midu rushed in like a gale. Leonora frowned, realizing he was closing the gap. Midu didn't hesitate and swung his sword. Leonora managed to dodge, but still caught a shallow cut on her arm. She cried out, That... Looking at the blood, she gritted her teeth, thinking, Did I forget to stay on guard? No, that's not it. Before she could regain her composure, Midu appeared behind Leonora. Realizing this, she immediately turned and cast earth magic. Pillars of stone shot up to block his path. Blocking his attack, she quickly retreated, her face looking slightly confused as she thought, "Something is very different." Looking at him, she froze. "It's not that I wasn't on guard." He closed the distance almost instantly. Despite her outward anxiety, she smiled faintly and said meaningfully, "So, it's the earth shrinking technique, is it? When you receive the power you desire, it means God loves you too." Midu, filled with killing intent, shouted, "I only wish for the power to protect everyone." After he spoke, he lunged forward, his sword pointed straight at her. Leonora remained calm and replied coldly, "Even so, it's still not enough to lay a finger on me." Immediately after, she cast domination magic. A crushing pressure bore down, forcing Midu to his knees as he groaned. I can't move." Leonora smirked, her voice sounding sinister. "I didn't intend to use this, but you left me no choice." From afar, Kai saw the situation worsening and said, "The ace in the hole has appeared." He looked stern and gave a firm order. "Right now, Kanzaki, go!" Leonora stood calmly, folding her arms as she watched Midu trapped within the magic circle she had created. A cold smile appeared on her face as she said, "I never thought I'd have to use enslavement magic. Just as expected, Midu-san." At this moment, Midu gritted his teeth, writhing in pain. "Damn it!" From behind, Reina saw him being restrained and ran over, while Suji and Mirai called his name in worry. "Midu-kun!" Suddenly, Leonora spoke, giving an order. "Everyone, stop!" A wave of power engulfed them all, leaving them frozen in place. Narumi turned toward them with a worried look, dripping with sweat. I can't move." Leonora stood watching the group, unable to budge, and offered a compliment. "You all did well. I'll let you pass the exam." With that, Leonora turned and walked away. Looking at the man lying sprawled on the ground, Leonora remarked, "I never thought Gaius would lose, but oh well. Even if he is a knight, he can still be replaced." Leonora broke into a cheerful smile and said, "As long as I can control the hero candidates, there won't be any issues at all." Everyone looked at Leonora, their eyes filled with fury. Narumi gritted her teeth. "It was a losing battle from the start, wasn't it? Damn it!" Midu opened his eyes wide, thinking, "If we don't have a countermeasure, then there's nothing we can do." Everyone around her was under Leonora's control. She just stood there, hands folded, watching. The reason we're allowed to summon hero candidates is because at some point, I could easily control you all if I wanted to. You lot would become a threat to the Empire otherwise, wouldn't you? Suddenly, daggers came flying from the distance. Leonora quickly summoned a wooden shield to block them, and the daggers fell to the ground covered in mud as the wood disintegrated. Leonora closed her eyes and spoke to the figure in the distance. "I know you've been hiding all this time. You're the one who killed my precious slaves, aren't you, Leonora?" The man approached with murderous intent, and Leonora called out, "Shinju-san!" Shinju spoke up unexpectedly. "I'm surprised. I didn't expect someone as ordinary as you to notice me." Leonora replied calmly, "I saw it from the very beginning. Even though it's just a useless guardian ability, you've remained calm the whole time. That's not the quality of an amateur." Shinju listened coldly as Leonora continued, "Honestly, I'm a bit disappointed in you. I never expected you to show up in a battle you can't win like this." Suddenly, Shinju's gaze turned sharp and determined. "Whether this battle is won or lost is for me to decide." Hearing that, Leonora burst into laughter. "Then show me what you've got, like everyone else." A burst of light instantly engulfed Shinju. His face was full of shock. "Don't move." Shinju stared at the magic being cast upon him, as if realizing something. "I see." It spread from his hands down to his feet. "So this is enslavement magic, huh?" Leonora raised her hand to cast the spell and smiled. Do you understand now? As long as I use this kind of magic, I will... Suddenly, blood splattered everywhere. Leonora cried out in pain, clutching her shoulder. What? From the distance, smoke rose from the barrel of a gun. It was Shinju. He replied coldly, "Looks like I missed." Just as the Saintess Leonora predicted, seeing Shinju still moving, she grew furious. How? How are you still able to move? I clearly used enslavement magic on you. Shinju slowly pulled the trigger once more. This time, the bullet went straight into Leonora's stomach. She screamed in agony, staring at the weapon in Shinju's hand, filled with curiosity. What is that weapon? Leonora thought to herself, I can't defend against it. Shinju coldly explained, This is the tool that kills the most people in my world. I only have a few bullets left, so I really don't want to waste them. Leonora summoned a flame, thinking, Stay calm. I don't know why my magic isn't working, but this time, Leonora screamed, Heavenly fire! Shinju was caught off guard, stunned as the flames launched toward him. The fire roared as it rushed toward Shinju. He could only cover his face. Burn my enemy! Leonora smiled smugly. You let your guard down. Shinju-sama! Suddenly, Leonora was taken by surprise. She realized there was no one in the flames, only his burning cloak. Suddenly, a sound came from behind her. By now, Shinju had ambushed Leonora from behind. He pointed the gun directly at her head. Don't move. He gently pointed out her weakness. After watching your battle with Midu, I knew you weren't suited for close quarters combat. Your trump card, enslavement magic, doesn't work on me. Leonora glared at him, unsatisfied. Why? My magic is supposed to be unstoppable. Shinju laughed. I thought so too. I don't know why it didn't work on me. He then thought to himself, in truth, this was a risky gamble to see if it would actually work. I finally won this gamble. Shinju recalled the moment. He called out a name, Kanzaki Shinzu, pointing at himself, pleading. First, you dominate me! The girl named Kanzaki backed away in fear, pressed against the door, looking at Shinzu. Kanzaki's face was flustered to the point of blushing. She shouted. Kanzaki turned her face away in shame, sweating profusely. Actually, that's not my thing, Shinju asked, confused. What nonsense are you talking about? Shinju told Kanzaki what he had discovered. I've been spending time lately researching magic. I still haven't found any information on enslavement magic, but in return, I found something important. Shinju elaborated on the skill. The skill used first will take priority over the skill used afterward. Kanzaki couldn't help but panic. Could it be, if I use domination on you, it will neutralize the enslavement magic? Shinju replied calmly. That possibility is high. Furthermore, guardian abilities are still much stronger than magic. Kanzaki placed a hand on her chin, asking worriedly, Is that so? But my skill is much weaker than her enslavement magic. Shinju said calmly, Technically speaking, everything is determined by skill level. Shinju looked at the data he had collected thinking. Name, Kanzaki Jin. Age, 17. Gender, female. Attack, C. Defense, D. Agility, D. Strength, E. Magic, B. Normal state, Level 1. Guardian Domination Skill. Using Kanzaki's Level 1 Domination to fight against Leonora's Level 3 Enslavement Magic. Name, Leonora Degaris. Age, 18. Gender, female. Attack, A. Defense, D. Agility, D. Strength, E. Magic, S. Normal state, Level 5. Summoning Magic Skill, Level 5, Saint Guardian. All magic attributes, Level 4. Enslavement. Magic, Level 3. Kanzaki heard this and pondered, Even so, if I use my skill first, I could still lose control of my host. Shinju raised his hand to explain, No, the possibility of that is very low. Shinju remembered his confrontation with Teddy. Teddy laughed loudly, saying, "It's useless." Shinju spoke up. "Teddy's domination magic has already surpassed yours." Teddy gave a wicked grin and commanded, "Wake up now, my demons." Shinju continued. At that very moment, "I thought the demons would obey your orders, but I was wrong." At that, Kanzaki's face turned pale, and he stammered, "Why?" Shinju's gaze was ice cold as he explained, "Simply put, his magic was cast before you even used your skill." Shinju pointed out the way to neutralize Leonora's magic. To counter Leonora's enslavement magic, the same principle should work. Back in reality, Shinju wore a determined look. A gamble, huh? Well, let's do it. Shinju thought to himself, "First, how far can I move while under her control?" Leonora looked suspicious, wondering, "Don't tell me. Kanzaki-sama has—" Shinju pressed a gun to Leonora's head. "You finally realized it, huh?" Shinju looked at her coldly. "You're right. I'm currently under Kanzaki's control." Hearing this, Leonora was furious, grinding her teeth. "Your little tricks are so pathetic." Then, he looked at her and declared, "It's over. Saintess Leonora." Shinju pulled the trigger. Leonora was hit in the stomach and collapsed, crying out in pain. Leonora turned back with a frustrated look at the handcuffs. "My power is being blocked by these." "Since when?" Leonora's hands were restrained by iron cuffs. Shinju explained, "I borrowed them from the Demon Lord's followers." He recalled the words of a girl. "No, these cuffs prevent me from using my powers, but now I'm back to normal." With a calm expression, Shinju's eyes showed no fear. It seems they also block her skills. Leonora gave him a sideways glance, radiating extreme danger. "What do you intend to do with me?" Shinju swung his hand out, his voice cold. "Let's see. I'll let you go, if you send us back to our world." Leonora shook her head, refusing. "I'm sorry. That's impossible. I can only summon you. To return to your old world, you need a different skill." Shinju's face turned contemplative. He thought, "It seems she's not lying, and there's no mention of any such skill in her records." Shinju turned to ask, "Then why did you say we could go back after defeating the Demon Lord?" Leonora recalled the chaotic scene back then. Summoning people from another world requires a massive amount of energy. I begged God to help me succeed in summoning you all. Everyone had their seals broken by now. They were astonished to hear Leonora's explanation. "You were summoned here according to God's will, and after completing the mission, it is highly likely that you will return to where you belong." Shinju questioned her suspiciously. "We can go back? Are you sure that's even possible?" Leonora immediately retorted, "Yes! I have summoned many hero candidates before you, but not one could get close to the Demon Lord." Shinju's expression was full of shock. He frowned. "You never mentioned them. What happened to the candidates before us?" Everyone broke into a cold sweat. Leonora replied, "Most of them were killed by the Demon Lord's army. A few survived and went somewhere, but I don't know where they're hiding." Shinju closed his eyes. He seemed to understand everything now. Hearing that, who wouldn't lose motivation? That's why she hadn't said anything until now. Leonora grimaced. "So, do you want to stay here forever? Sooner or later, the Demon Lord's army will attack, and you will have to fight against them." Shinju's gaze was sharp. "So, we have no other choice then?" "Correct." Leonora seemed to grasp the chance to be released and proposed, "Right. If you want to win this war, you need the help of the kingdom, don't you? I will overlook this. Let me go." Shinju held a knife, ready to lunge at Leonora. "I understand. Die!" Suddenly, Midu rushed in from nowhere, placing a hand on him to stop him. "Wait, Shinju!" Shinju turned to look at Midu, questioning. "Why are you stopping me, Midu? I thought you had thought this through, but you're still clinging to your naive ideals." Midu's face showed certainty. With a determined look, "I agree to go along with this because I believe she knows how to help us get back. It's impossible right now, but I still want to keep the title of hero candidate. Shinju's expression didn't show much emotion, his hand still gripping the knife tightly. We've started a rebellion. Have you forgotten? Shinju realized Midu was right. His hand, about to throw the knife at Leonora, suddenly stopped. Leonora, looking pitiful, begged, I admit, I went a bit too far. Let's just pretend none of this happened. Shinju looked at Midu's hand on his shoulder and thought, that sounds reasonable. But he warned, she's dangerous. It won't be easy to catch her a second time. Shinju's eyes glanced toward Kanzaki. She only needs to kill Kanzaki. In all likelihood, once released, she'll attack Kanzaki. Mido stepped in to persuade them. If we kill her, we'll be accused of killing the Saintess. We just need to make her promise to treat us better. And let her go. Mireille also agreed with Mido. I agree, but we aren't all warriors. Besides, if we become criminals, how can we defeat the Demon Lord? Renan's gaze shifted as she spoke up. I agree too. Wouldn't it be better to find a way to make her keep her promise? Narumi's face showed a bit of fear. No, I agree with Shinju. We can't trust her. We've already come this far. It's better to just get rid of her. Midu turned and immediately countered, his eyes full of determination. Truth be told, I think so too. But we won't have a way out if we kill her here. Shinju cast a cold glance at Midu, thinking to himself that it was only natural for Midu to be worried. The class's safety was everything to him, but Shinju was confident he could survive on his own. Still, I can't just make a reckless decision. Suddenly his eyes narrowed. A single gunshot rang out, and blood splattered everywhere. Shinju had pulled the trigger, his barrel aimed point blank at Leonora's head, the bullet piercing straight through her brain. She only had time to let out one cry. Midu witnessed the scene and screamed as Leonora, her head covered in blood, collapsed to the ground, taking her final breaths while everyone present stood in utter shock. Midu, furious, shouted Shinju's name as a smoke bomb was thrown. Shinju stood within the thick fog and called out, See you later, Midu, while Midu shielded his face from the blast until the smoke cleared. When the smoke vanished, only a trail of white vapor remained. Midu stood there, lost, then collapsed to his knees in a rage, shouting, Damn it! Why? As Miri walked over, clenching her fists bitterly. He killed her before we could even decide. I can't forgive this. Rina's eyes flashed with resentment, adding, He only ever thinks about himself. Narumi grimaced in shock, wondering if Shinju had really done it, while Kazaki stepped toward Leonora's body with a fearful gaze, unable to believe her eyes, gripped by rising terror. She couldn't believe he had actually killed her. Everything had played out exactly as he predicted. She recalled the moment before the fight when Shinju had called out to her. Then, Kanzaki had turned to him, puzzled, and Shinju had spoken up. I'll tell you what's going to happen next, before looking toward the others and continuing his explanation. Our main goal is to kidnap Leonora and learn from her how to return to the real world. His voice rang out coldly. If we find out she can't do that, we will kill her. Kazaki's eyes showed a flicker of fear as she replied, Okay, I understand. Shinju watched Midu fighting with everything he had, his voice firm. However, if we realize there is no way to return to our own world, Midu will still try to protect her. Shinju's gaze turned sharp, his voice icy. At that point, I will kill her and make my escape. Kazaki, hearing the plan, couldn't help but be skeptical. She opened her eyes wide. By yourself? You're going to take all the blame for killing her all by yourself? Shinju immediately explained. That is the reason why